Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Konoha, Naruto who picks up Kage ninja fragments attributes. Chapter 21. Even though Naruto was preparing to form a seal again, Shanfang remained unmoved. He would not step on the same trap several times in a row. He was already sure that Naruto was stalling for time. At this moment, Naruto's seal was completed. He smiled and looked at the wind in the mountains close at hand, showing a smile that determined the overall situation. At this time, although Shanfang realized that something was wrong, he had not yet seen Naruto's method of defeating those members of the root organization, so he did not think of quitting immediately. At this time, what Yamazaka was thinking about was to block Naruto's attack, and then release the heart-turning technique. However, this idea is too naive. Universal color for root tissue lure technique, Shimura Danzo's let 100 flowers bloom version. Victory and defeat. Naruto looked at Shanfang who was momentarily lost and shocked. Without hesitation, he launched a series of moves smoothly. Naruto 36 eggs. Although Shanfang quickly released the ninjutsu, the intense pain still caused him to slowly fall down. Naruto took a deep breath after dealing with the troublesome figure of Yamaphase. Although he defeated Yamaphase, Naruto actually knew that he was almost reaching his limit. At this time, a voice came. Naruto-kun, how long have I been asleep? The sixth generation Hinata opened her eyes and asked. Naruto looked at her with joy. Hinata, are you awake? Well, although the chakra hasn't recovered yet, it won't be a problem for the time being. The sixth generation Hinata looked at the somewhat messy room, and his eyes turned cold. Naruto-kun, is there someone in the village who saw my situation and wants to attack here? Yeah, but I blocked it. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. All in all, now that the sixth generation Hinata has woken up, the matter has basically come to an end. I'll leave the rest to you. Just when Naruto was thinking this, the sixth generation Hinata suddenly lay down and said in a weak voice, Naruto-kun, actually I was holding on just now. I may not be in as good a state as I thought. Please, you protected me, Naruto-kun. It was certain that she was in a bad state, but it was impossible for the sixth generation Hinata to be in such a bad state that she could barely stand up. And the real reason is, this is the moment when Naruto-kun protected me, I must find a chance to take it. Sixth generation Hinata thought to herself, and then made a weak voice, please, Naruto-kun, only you can protect me. I see. Although Naruto felt strange why he was suddenly in bad condition again, he had planned to protect the sixth generation Hinata from Danzo anyway, so he quickly regained his composure and began to think about the next tactics. At the same time, Naruto looked at the door. He didn't know which member of the root organization would come next time. However, while he was still thinking, the door suddenly opened. Naruto secretly said something bad. Then something worse happened. After members of the root organization filed in one after another, Danzo was actually surrounded among them. Naruto looked at the large formation, especially Danzo among them, with only a moment of despair in his heart. Although his ninjutsu is useful for other root tissues, it will definitely have no effect on Danzo. Could it be that he really couldn't protect Hinata today? Naruto clenched his fists, but did not give up. Never give up. This was his way of ninja, it was not the last moment yet, how could he give up like this? First, use the battle plan just now to eliminate all members of the root organization except Danzo. Naruto formed a seal with his hands, ninjutsu seduction. This ninjutsu, which could kill even the third Hokage instantly, was completely unable to deal with these root organization ninjas, and even Danzo was completely indifferent. Danzo just showed an indifferent look. In his opinion, ninjutsu like this has no effect on truly strong people and powerful ninjas. He could never imagine that a ninja would be defeated by this kind of ninjutsu. At least, in his opinion, this useless ninjutsu has no effect at all on powerful ninjas like the third Hokage or the woman he is targeting. Naruto gritted his teeth. Although he knew it would definitely be useless, he still held a glimmer of hope in his heart. It might not be useful to members of the root organization, but what if it could have an effect on Danzo? Of course, just a hint. As expected of a professional ninja, only a few people would be affected by this kind of ninjutsu. Real ninjas are all strong-minded people, so how could they be capable of such a ninjutsu? Naruto thought this calmly before continuing with his plan. Use the method you just used to deal with Yamaphase, and use this ninjutsu to make the opponent think that he is not in a state, and then activate the real ninjutsu. So, Naruto cast an enhanced version of the harem technique. However, the only people who responded to him were the cold eyes of Root Organization and Danzo. Kid, it seems you don't understand what a ninja is. This kind of ninjutsu is just a child's play, and it has no effect on truly powerful ninjas like us. Danzo said in a cold voice. He couldn't waste any more time and had to make a quick decision, otherwise the third Hokage would soon notice what was happening here. Thinking of this, Danzo's eyes became colder and colder. Game over, kid. Naruto looked at him, looking nervous on the surface, but thinking calmly in his heart. This should be able to take the bait, right? The third Hokage, who had arranged everything before Danzo personally led people into Naruto's room, suddenly felt an inexplicable uneasiness in his heart. He felt that he might have overlooked something. After a while, news came from Anbu Ninja. The Anbu Ninja who was monitoring Naruto's house lost contact. The third Hokage's pupils shrank, and a possibility that he thought was absolutely impossible suddenly flashed through his mind. Could it be that Danzo really took action against Naruto's family? How dare he take the risk of possibly harming the nine-tailed Jinchuriki and take action in Naruto's home? The third Hokage almost gasped. This idea may be a bit incredible. However, at this time, apart from this possibility, the third Hokage could not think of any other possibility that the Anbu ninja would suddenly lose contact. Perhaps foreign interference cannot be ruled out, but the third Hokage does not think that with so many outsiders entering the village, the Great Barrier will not react at all. Apart from the people of Konoha, the only people who can enter Konoha through the Great Barrier are those who have defected from Konoha. The defense mechanisms of other villages are similar. Thinking of this, the third Hokage quickly used the telescope technique, hoping to use this ninjutsu to observe Naruto's home from the crystal ball. As a result, he immediately discovered that Danzo was preparing to fight Naruto head-on. The third Hokage's heart tightened. His worst guess had indeed come true. He was about to give an order to stop Danzo. But at this moment, the crystal ball suddenly changed. Naruto used ninjutsu. The third Hokage's eyes were fixed on that magical transformation technique for several seconds. Then, puff puff, a large amount of nosebleed spurted out, and the third Hokage fell on the desk. I can't fall yet, Konoha still needs me. Although he accidentally suffered such a terrible ninjutsu, the third Hokage still managed to hold on. He is the ninja hero of the ninja world and the Hokage of Konoha. At this level, he cannot be defeated, and now he has something urgent. He must immediately issue an order to stop Danzo. If Danzo is not stopped here, a more dangerous and terrifying situation may result. Now is not the time to get into such an awkward situation. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Konoha still needs you. With firm will, the third Hokage raised his head again. At this moment, he was convinced that even if he saw the strange transformation technique again, he would still be able to maintain his composure. But when he tried to raise his head, his eyes subconsciously fell on the crystal ball. At this time, the scene of Naruto using the harem technique was shown in the crystal ball. He was now confident that he could block the single attack just now, but this time he faced a group version. The third Hokage felt that he couldn't stand it anymore. What's the Hokage's responsibility? What's the safety of the village? What's the hero of the ninja world? At this moment, all combined, they can't stand up to this scene. Puff puff, a lot of nosebleeds came out, and the third Hokage lay weakly on the desk, with only one thought left in his mind. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the ninja hero of his generation, unexpectedly fell into the hands of a messy ninjutsu developed by a ninja academy student today. Is this the so-called times have changed? Sarutobi Hiruzen is not willing to accept it. However, no matter how unwilling he was, he still fell down. With the fall of the third Hokage, Konoha also entered a brief state of letterlessness. The sixth generation Hinata hid under the quilt, then opened a gap slightly and stretched out the front end of the camera a little. Then, wait quietly for Naruto-kun's wonderful moment. Next, be sure to capture Naruto-kun's particularly magical and interesting moments. The sixth generation Hinata clenched her fists and thought to herself. At this moment, Naruto used the color seduction technique. The sixth generation Hinata reacted quickly and shot quickly. However, During the filming, the 6th generation Hinata felt bright red liquid flowing out of her nasal cavity, so she seized the opportunity to snap the photo while quickly pulling out a tissue from her pocket and stuffing her nasal cavity. It's so dangerous, so dangerous. I didn't expect Naruto-kun to use such a dangerous ninjutsu. Fortunately, I'm young and strong, otherwise I really wouldn't be able to do it. The 6th generation Hinata couldn't imagine what would happen if she was old and frail and saw such exciting things. Then she would probably feel weak. Fortunately, she is now strong and able to withstand such exciting things. Naruto-kun's female clothes, take pictures. Naruto-kun with blonde hair and twin tails, take a photo. Just when the 6th generation Hinata was shooting with ease, Naruto used the harem technique. The 6th generation Hinata felt like he could no longer stop the blood in his nose. It's so exciting. Naruto-kun's group photo of women, take a photo, take a photo. The photos that came out one after another made Hinata almost raise her right hand in the air and cheer. But after just 1 or 2 days in this world, she had seen too many wonderful moments, right? It is indeed a different world, a different Naruto-kun. However, because Naruto was still in an anxious battle, the 6th generation Hinata suppressed the excitement in her heart. Hold it, after all, we can't delay the filming of the Naruto-kun Fighting Hard photography exhibition. No matter how excited you are, you must hold it back. At this moment, Naruto began to form seals again, preparing to use the 3rd ninjutsu, which made the 6th generation Hinata look forward to it. What kind of ninjutsu will it be? What kind of Naruto-kun is he dressed as a woman? Will it be a more exciting ninjutsu than the many Naruto-kun costumes just now? GKD, Naruto-kun, GKD. Then, when the ninjutsu was completed, the unimaginable sight made the 6th generation Hinata foam at the mouth. Shouldn't it be a nosebleed? Who in the right mind could have a nosebleed at Danzo, a creature that disfigures the appearance of an old man? What she wanted to see was not Naruto-kun wearing Danzo's skin. This was not the moment she wanted to see Naruto-kun. Very strange. Too strange. There must be something wrong with this. Stop it, Naruto-kun, this is a black car leading to hell, I want to get off. Get me off. Don't weld the car door shut. Let me out. As a combat opponent, Danzo is undoubtedly dangerous, because he is a being who can fight with the idea of dying together with his opponent. Therefore, if you want to defeat Danzo in battle just by calculation, you will undoubtedly need a very careful plan. At this moment, Danzo was not only alone, he was surrounded by members of the Root organization protecting him. For Naruto, this scene was beyond his calculations. However, the 6th generation Hinata is not in good condition, so we can only let him play here. Even if the winning rate is less than 1 in 10,000, he still uses these hands to protect the 6th generation Hinata. When Naruto and Danzo and others were getting impatient, he finally performed the carefully prepared ninjutsu. Universal color for root tissue lure technique, Shimura Danzo's let 100 flowers bloom version. For a moment, maybe 5 seconds, maybe less than 5 seconds, anyway, when they saw this ninjutsu, the members of the Root organization paused. Whether it's an opportunity or victory, it can only be decided at this moment. Naruto's shadow clone quickly took action. However, this time, unlike before, Naruto not only had to defeat the members of the Root organization but also entangled Danzo. However, Naruto soon frowned slightly, because he found that Danzo just stood there, not moving, and allowed him to defeat the members of the Root organization one after another. After a while, Naruto looked at the Root organization members lying on the ground, looked at Danzo with a puzzled expression, and couldn't help but ask, why? It's exercise. Danzo's voice was still cold. As an Anbu ninja of Konoha, there shouldn't be obvious weaknesses. I want to thank you for letting me discover such a fatal weakness of theirs. I just hope that through this matter, let them have an impression of this weakness. After that, I will let them overcome this weakness and not be defeated by the same tactics. Naruto's heart sank, not because Danzo was using him to train these people, but because of Danzo's confidence. If he wasn't confident enough to defeat himself, Danzo wouldn't have been completely indifferent and allowed him to train these people. Naruto took a deep breath. It seems that I can only deal with you head on. This is the only way you can do it. Danzo did not despise Naruto, but he was not too wary of Naruto either. It might be a bit of a trick, but the limit of Naruto's abilities is there. Perhaps, other members of the Root organization had such huge weaknesses that he was not aware of, but Danzo had absolutely no weaknesses. I won't say get out of the way, but I will let you see what a real ninja is. Danzo twisted his joints, then formed a seal with his hands, creating several shadow clones. At this time, Naruto's shadow clones surrounded him. Danzo said calmly, "It is true that your chakra is very large. For you, the shadow clone is a powerful ninjutsu that seems to be born for you, but your basic ability as a ninja is really it's too bad." It was obviously a contest between shadow clones that were dozens of times different, but even if Naruto had knowledge about acrobatics, Naruto's shadow clones were still destroyed at an extremely fast speed. The difference lies in Danzo's attack. It's not about how strong the attack avoidance is or how superb his skills are, but purely. Danzo's attack can stab through a shadow clone of Naruto every time. Danzo was just pure, and in a head-on confrontation, his attack power completely overwhelmed Naruto. One kunai. Naruto tried to block, but facing Danzo's kunai, all defenses were almost ineffective. Even though Naruto had huge chakra and the recovery power of the Nine Tails, so many shadow clones were destroyed, which still put a huge burden on him. Naruto's breathing became erratic. However, the sacrifices of these shadow clones were not without value, and their sacrifices also allowed Naruto to see the tricks used by Danzo. Naruto murmured, "Change in nature." For ninjas, and even for students at the Ninja Academy, it is not surprising at all that mastery has a change in nature. For example, Sasuke had already mastered the changes in the nature of fire during his time at the Ninja Academy. As for Naruto, if according to the records in the book, it would take several years before he would begin to master such skills. However, that was for Naruto in the book. Naruto knew here that if he didn't take a step further and allow himself to break through his current strength, there would be no possibility of victory. The gap is too big, any trick can be said to be ineffective. Even though Danzo has only been Hokage for a few days in the book, there is no doubt that he is a ninja who can rival the Kage. Even after the battle until now, Naruto's true form has never come out, and he is still observing. Naruto's eyes remained on Danzo's battle. There are 7 types of property changes. But for Naruto now, what he needs to master should be the same wind release, changes in the nature of the wind that Danzo is using now. In Namikaze Naruto's memory, he had mastered 5 types of nature changes and was a genius among geniuses. And Naruto, who has integrated memories, even if he can't use the 5 nature changes like him, at least, he can still do it with just 1. When there were less than 50 shadow clones left, Naruto's true body appeared, and then he formed seals with his hands, forming 10 new shadow clones. Danzo looked at Naruto's body. "It seems that this is your body. I didn't expect that it still stores the chakra that can use shadow clones. But now, even if 10 more shadow clones are added, it can still how?" Naruto said confidently, "That's impossible to say." As soon as he finished speaking, 10 new shadow clones rushed over. At this time, Danzo was about to use the method just now to defeat Naruto's shadow clone. Naruto's shadow clone suddenly waved the kunai, facing the kunai of Danzo's shadow clone. Danzo was expressionless. His kunai has the properties of wind, and Naruto's kunai can't do anything about it. Before the 2 kunai crossed each other, the kunai in Naruto's shadow clone's hand suddenly changed and turned into Naruto's appearance. Then, this Naruto held Danzo's hand holding the kunai's shadow clone in midair. Danzo immediately realized something was wrong, and the other shadow clones were about to step forward to help, but it was already too late. Naruto attacked. Wind release. Naruto's 36 consecutive eggs. Danzo's expression changed drastically, and as expected, when the shadow clone disappeared, the pain that came from him made him half kneel on the ground. Fortunately, it was a shadow clone, so it only took 1 bite from Naruto to resolve it. But even this moment made Danzo feel a little different. A member of the ordinary Root organization can barely maintain consciousness for a while after taking 36 bites. This shows that a simple continuous bomb attack by Naruto is actually within the tolerable range for members of the Root organization. But now, Danzo only took a bite, and the pain he felt almost made him kneel on the ground. This is because this blow contains changes in the nature of the wind. This is almost equivalent to being chopped down below with a sharp weapon. This is growth. Danzo was quite surprised. He was sure that Naruto couldn't do it before, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to create a new shadow clone. But now, Naruto has mastered the changes in the nature of the wind in a short confrontation. Danzo expressed his surprise. Should we say that this man deserves to be the son of the fourth Hokage? Sarutobi, you have really done something stupid. If such a genius is not allowed to be cultivated and wasted on his own, but allowed to be cultivated by Danzo, I am sure. Danzo felt very unhappy. This change of mood made him no longer ready to hold back, lest Naruto continue to grow and the situation would worsen. Danzo's true form grasped the kunai and took action himself. In just an instant, 7 of the 10 shadow clones that Naruto had just separated were destroyed. Naruto recoiled in shock, facing each other head-on, even that Naruto's memory mainly relied on Sage mode. But the immortal mode is not so easy for him to learn, even if he has memory. Danzo was approaching at this time. Naruto couldn't help but think to himself. Should we fight back here or admit defeat? There is no need to ask, we must fight back. So, how to fight back? Weaknesses. Danzo's weaknesses. Naruto didn't know if Danzo had any weaknesses in his life. However, if there is anything that Danzo cares about, then there is one. Naruto suddenly pulled out his kunai and rushed towards Danzo. The two kunai crossed each other, and Naruto's kunai was chopped into pieces. But at this time, Danzo also paused. At this moment, several shadow clones jumped out from behind Naruto. They made a seal with their hands. Danzo only glanced at it and didn't care. At this time, the fancy ninjutsu just now was ineffective against him. Perhaps, his strength is not the strongest. But Shimura Danzo has no weakness in his will, and nothing can shake him. Fall down obediently, Danzo said coldly, then turned his right hand into a knife, preparing to knock Naruto unconscious to the ground. But at this moment, the ninjutsu of Naruto's shadow clone changing in the air made Danzo unable to take his eyes away for an instant. Sarutobi, female, clothes. When Danzo saw this scene, he couldn't tell how he felt at the moment. All that was certain was that he was shaken, that he was distracted. Although he quickly came to his senses, Naruto's attack had already arrived. Naruto 36 eggs. After 36 consecutive blows, Danzo quickly retreated, and then although his legs were clamped, he still maintained a standing posture. He did not fall down, but his face was slightly distorted. At the same time, as the previous attack progressed, another light ball fell from Danzo's body. Although the blow just now not only caused such a degree of damage, but also left a ball of light on the ground, Naruto showed an unwilling expression. His plan was successful, but his strength could not match the plan. Although Danzo was distracted, he was not defeated by Naruto's move. This was mainly because when Naruto attacked in the end, he did not use the shadow clone that was separated later and understood the changes in the nature of the wind, but the previous shadow clone. This is relevant. In any case, such a small gap is due to Naruto's own lack of strength. Danzo took a step forward, his vigilance against Naruto increased to the maximum. He thought that he would never be hit by such an attack, but unexpectedly, he almost capsized. However, regardless of whether Danzo capsized or not, Naruto was indeed helpless at this time. That's not right. In fact, Naruto has another way, and that is. Naruto gritted his teeth. Although he didn't want to use this method, at this point, there was no other way. You forced me to do this. Naruto roared. Danzo frowned slightly when he saw this, but did not pause. After all, it was probably Naruto's trick. This man's tactics were so shameless, and he might have similar tricks as before. For example, the third Hokage, who is even better at cross-dressing as a woman. Even he will be stunned for a moment when faced with this kind of ninjutsu. Just then, Naruto opened his mouth. Danzo subconsciously avoided the direction of his mouth to avoid him using the ninjutsu coming from his mouth. Then, Naruto shouted, "Hinata, save me, Danzo." The 6th generation Hinata was watching Naruto's battle under the quilt. Although the transformation technique she had just used to transform into Danzo made her foam at the mouth, but when she opened her Byakugan, she became Naruto-kun again. The next battle turned into a wonderful hand-to-hand battle. The sixth generation Hinata happily took a lot of photos, and then at this moment, in the most wonderful moment, Naruto formed the seal again. This time, it was also a transformation technique. However, it was hard for the sixth generation Hinata to tell what kind of transformation technique it was. Sixth generation Hinata had two options in his mind at this time. One is to close the Byakugan, so that it is possible not to see Naruto-kun's female clothes. The other is to continue to open the Byakugan, so that although you may avoid seeing some dirty things, you may still see Naruto-kun's female clothes. Which one should I choose? It's so confusing and a headache. Wealth can be found in danger, so give it a try. In the end, the sixth generation Hinata decided to take the risk and close the Byakugan. Come on, Naruto-kun, I'm ready. Women's clothing, GKD. And then, she lost the bet. What the hell is the third Hokage wearing women's clothing? Naruto-kun, stop driving a black car, my girly heart can't bear this kind of torture. The sixth generation Hinata foamed at the mouth again and lay down like a salted fish. At this moment, Naruto's voice came over. Hinata, save me. The sixth generation Hinata and the quilt were floating in the air, and her long black hair spread strangely in the air. Come here, Naruto-kun. Upon hearing Naruto-kun's call, she instantly resurrected on the spot with full health. Leave the rest to me. Danzo heard Naruto calling someone and immediately realized something was wrong. Is there anyone else in this room besides him? And that person is, the sixth generation Hinata lying on the bed. Sure enough, as Naruto yelled, sixth generation Hinata floated up from the quilt. In her eyes, blue light began to flash, and she entered the reincarnated eye state. At this moment, Danzo felt an unknown invisible force, and he was immediately pushed to the ground. Immediately afterwards, Danzo floated again, like a toy being played with. Danzo's face turned ferocious, and he tried to break away from the control of this unknown force, but failed. At this time, he finally realized why the third Hokage still refused to take action even though he knew that the girl might be unconscious. This girl's ninjutsu is indeed very strange. Naruto-kun, I'll be right back. After finishing speaking, the sixth generation Hinata floated out the window. At the same time, the root organization members on the ground and Danzo were also lifted up by the power of her reincarnation eye and floated outside. Even if his strength is not at its peak now, for the sixth generation Hinata, dealing with the root organization is still not a big deal. And, sixth generation Hinata turned back and looked at Naruto. There was something strange in his eyes. Sure enough, Naruto-kun didn't notice her intention. On the other side, Naruto looked at Danzo, who he had worked hard for so long and used so many strategies but could not defeat. At this time, he was unable to fight back in the hands of the sixth generation Hinata. This result made him unbearable. Zu smiled bitterly and said, sure enough, I'm still far behind. I have to become stronger. At least, Naruto felt that at the very least, he must have the strength to defeat ordinary members of the root organization in a head-on confrontation in the shortest possible time, even without the use of strategy. If he wants to talk freely about Naruto and be the Hokage that belongs to him, Uzumaki Naruto, he must at least do these things. It might be difficult for ordinary people, but since he fused the memory of another Naruto, he shouldn't only be able to exert this level of strength. Now that I have grown up, the data should also have changed. Naruto came back to his senses and looked at the ball of light on the ground, but he did not pick it up immediately. Instead, he moved in his heart and opened the book. The content on it was exactly what he thought, and it had changed. Ninjutsu. C+ changing. Physical skills. D changing. Illusion. D changing. Chakra. A changing. Yun. B changing. Ninjutsu and Shion have both improved, probably due to the impact of the battle just now. However, the changing state has not changed yet, and it should be that the memory of the other Naruto has not been completely integrated. Naruto guessed that if the other Naruto's memories were completely integrated, his sage should be able to reach S level. As for taijutsu and genjutsu, Naruto felt that he needed to find time to make good use of the knowledge in his mind to practice, so that he could further improve. In short, the next step is to train yourself, and then, who will it be this time? Naruto picked up the ball of light on the ground. Pick up one fragment of Uchiha Sasuke, the first president of the Ninja Kingdom, 1/10. The memory fragment appears again. In the dark underground, a pair of circle-marked eyes opened, and the boy made a cold voice. From today on, I am the leader of the Root Organization. My rules are very simple, only two. Our Root Organization and the Hokage forces can never coexist in. Naruto Namikaze is my sworn brother to Uchiha Sasuke. This Sasuke made Naruto show a strange expression, and it was even more subtle than when he summoned Kiba before. Because he also knew this Sasuke, who came from the same world as the 6th generation Hinata. Although he didn't quite understand the title behind this Sasuke, and some of the information he knew through memory was a bit subtle, Naruto tentatively thought that this Sasuke should be regarded as a companion, so he summoned him as well. After the trial summoning was successful, Naruto glanced around the somewhat messy room and suddenly clenched his fists. Even if the outcome of this battle is unsatisfactory, members of the Root Organization can be defeated one after another, even if they use extremely shameless tactics. But victory is victory, and defeat is defeat. This also proves that his current strength may have surpassed the students of the Ninja Academy. And you know, less than 3 days ago, he was just a loser in the Ninja Academy. As the battle ended, Naruto felt more and more how amazing his own changes were. The 6th generation Hinata and this large group of people were floating in the midair of Konoha. Suddenly, the 6th generation Hinata looked at somewhere on the ground and murmured, "Is Yaya here?" Although based on the information in her mind, she could find teammates from her own world as long as certain conditions were met, but she didn't know the specific conditions. Although there are some who are not companions to her, it is clear that for Naruto-kun, these people will certainly not threaten his life. However, whether he will obey Naruto-kun's orders is another matter. However, it is too early to say this now. In short, any ninja from Konoha in that world, as long as they are not members of that organization, can be classified as her help in the opinion of 6th generation Hinata. Yalai is a moderate helper to the 6th generation Hinata. In short, contact the other person first. The 6th generation Hinata thought to herself, then she raised her right hand and shot a Bagua air palm towards the sky. After tearing the sky apart, she continued to lead these people forward. Through this trick, Hoya will naturally know how to contact her. As for the 6th generation Hinata's destination, it was the 3rd Hokage's office. She was going to negotiate with the 3rd Hokage there. But before leaving, the 6th generation Hinata suddenly murmured, "Yi Ya's character, I hope he won't cause any trouble and affect my negotiations." Outside Konoha, Sweet Tooth took out a pack of chocolate bars from his pocket, then took out one and bit it down. Suddenly, he raised his head and a turtle appeared in front of him. The information transmitted by Ogwe made Suya frown slightly. The Root Organization is going to attack Lord Hokage. Lord Hokage has fallen into a coma. Is this some kind of joke? Tsuko showed a puzzled expression. That Hokage-sama was a ninja who was able to fight several S-class rebel ninjas from the Akatsuki organization and return to the village in time to repel Pain, the leader of the Akatsuki organization. In a one-on-one battle, she directly found Pain's true form, then snatched his Rinnegan and brought it back to Konoha for effective use. He could not imagine that such a powerful Hokage would suddenly be seriously injured and fall into a coma. However, there was a hint of curvature at the corner of Suetei's mouth. If Lord Hokage is really in danger, then it will be his turn for Inuzuka Kiba to make a contribution. Suitya delivers a message to his psychic beast. Not long after, strange psychic beasts appeared around him one after another. Suya brought his army of psychic beasts to the entrance of Konoha village in a mighty manner. Konoha Ninja Village is one of the 5 major ninja villages. Even the gatekeepers have Chunin level. This would probably be unimaginable in some small ninja villages. The guards of Konoha this time are 2 people named Gengzi Tetsu and Kamizuki Izumo. The 2 of them cooperated with each other tacitly when fighting, and they were able to compete even with special Junin. Of course, although the 2 are Konoha's gatekeepers, they are actually only responsible for the entry and exit of management personnel. If a strong enemy attacks, they will definitely not be able to defend it. But the problem is that generally there are no powerful ninjas who dare to attack. Enter Konoha and cause chaos. After all, this is one of the 5 great ninja villages. There are many powerful ninjas here, including Junin. As for the weaker ninjas, whether they dare to come to Konoha or not is a question. Gangzati yawned boredly. Azumo, today is another peaceful day. Shenyu Azumo didn't answer his words, but felt like he was in a trance. Ziti, did you hear any strange noises? What strange noise? Gangzati laughed out loud. Azumo, you don't think that someone will attack our Konoha at this time, do you? No, I just seem to feel that the sounds of wild beasts around here have become a bit too much. Illusion, illusion. The ninja beasts around here have been cleared out long ago during the ninja mission. There are still some beasts gathering somewhere. Right, Kamizuki Azumo also felt that he was a little sensitive. Perhaps it was the destruction of Konoha statues not long ago that made him a little wary. However, the third Hokage said that there were ninjas conducting ninjutsu experiments, so nothing major happened. Suddenly, Shenyu Azumo found that his right hand was shaking. He was shocked and pressed his right hand with his left hand. He found that both hands were shaking. Ziti, I don't know why my hands are shaking. What are you talking about? Why are you shaking? Gangzati looked over, and then exclaimed, Azumo, aren't your whole body shaking? Are you shaking too, Ziti? At this time, the two looked at each other and finally came to their senses. It's an enemy, a large-scale enemy. At this moment, chaotic footsteps sounded. Gangzati listened to the sound and immediately said nervously, this is a riot among wild beasts. Notify the village immediately. Encountering a large group of wild beasts is not a big deal, but it is not something they can handle. At this moment, an ostrich appeared in their field of vision and ran towards them. When they saw the ostrich, the two of them calmed down. Azumo, although I don't know what the situation is, it seems that we need to deal with this guy first before informing the village. Gangzati saw only one ostrich, so he no longer panicked. It's just an ostrich. No matter how strong it is, it's still a ninja beast at best, so there's no need to panic. Unless it's a ninja beast from the three holy places, it's still somewhat interesting. Otherwise, they would kill as many other ninja beasts as they came, and they would not be able to withstand a single blow. How can ordinary ninja beasts fight against well-trained ninjas like them? What's more, they are still Konoha Chunin, and their strength is much higher than that of ordinary ninjas. Azumo, let's go. Zitai, I'm ready. Gangzati confidently summoned his ninja tool, a huge iron rod, and Shenyu Azumo followed closely and released the iron chain. The two of them cooperate tacitly, and in just a moment, they can take down. The two of them passed by the ostrich. Puff puff. The two figures were flying in midair, floating and floating. The ostrich instantly killed the two of them into the air and continued straight into Konoha. Gangzati and Shenyu Azumo fell from the sky, and they both looked confused at the same time. This ninja beast seems a bit powerful. At this moment, another voice came. Here comes another one, Azumo. The two guards stood up quickly, thinking that although they had lost once just now, it was just an accident. It's impossible for all ninja beasts to be at the same level as the ninja beast just now, right? This time it's a kangaroo. It's probably a ninja beast too. Be careful, Azumo. Don't worry, I won't be careless this time. That's right, as long as we take it seriously, we will definitely. Bang bang. The two of them were floating in the sky again. Kangaroo punched a Konoha gatekeeper, and then continued to enter Konoha. Zion, it seems a bit powerful, this ninja beast. I underestimated the ninjutsu, but that's because we didn't use ninjutsu. If we had used ninjutsu, we would never lose. The two of them were very confident. Although they were instantly killed just now, they were actually inexperienced and careless. Otherwise, if they used ninjutsu directly, they would definitely not be killed instantly like this. There's a sound again. This time, let's see how we kill this ninja beast. At this moment, the sound that came seemed to be different from before, much more messy. Shenyu Izuyun couldn't help but murmured, Ziti, isn't this sound a bit too much? I also think, but it's unlikely that all the ninja beasts are at the level of these two ninja beasts just now. Gangzati stammered. Although this possibility is low, it cannot be completely eliminated. It is impossible to say that they are all ninja beasts of this level. Of course, in their hearts, even if they were all ninja beasts of this level, they were still sure to defeat each other, as long as the number was not too large. If there are more than a dozen of them, they should be able to use ninjutsu. At this moment, as the billowing dust mist appeared, a mighty army of ninja beasts also appeared. The weapon in Gangziti's hand fell to the ground, and Shenyu Izumo's chain also fell to the ground, and the two hugged each other tremblingly. How to fight? Filongcho, how can they win? It seems that the gate of Konoha cannot be defended. At this moment, a young man in a suit riding a strange giant dog appeared in front of the two of them. I'm going in. The young man in a suit had a cold voice. And being able to control so many powerful ninja beasts is also an extremely shocking thing. With this level of combat power, I'm afraid he has already reached the Jonin level, probably a ninja at the same level as Kakashi. However, Gangziti and Shenyu Izumo were a little scared, but they had no intention of putting anyone in. Even though this person is wearing a Konoha forehead protector and seems to be a Konoha companion who can be put in, the problem is that the two of them don't know such a person at all, and their gatekeepers don't know them, so they can't be put in. Although they are not strong in strength, the two of them are quite disciplined, which is one of the reasons why they can be put here to watch the gate. Therefore, even though they were trembling with fear when surrounded by such a huge and terrifying army of ninja beasts, the two of them still insisted on their duties as doormen. No, I can't let you in. The two managed to stand up, picked up their weapons, and blocked the door of Konoha. At this moment, the two of them had made plans to protect Konoha even if they sacrificed themselves. Looking at the two of them, Sui Ya's expression turned cold, and then, he got off the big dog obediently, took out a cigarette from his pocket, handed it to the two of them and said, "Brother, have a cigarette, can you let me in?" Quote. Although these two people don't seem to be strong, as a ninja of Konoha, he still has to abide by the rules. It is impossible to break in. What will it be like? It's not like he was a rebellious ninja from Konoha. How could he attack his own village even if he entered it? Fortunately, among the social communication studies advocated by the 5th Hokage Orochimaru, there is the subject of how to effectively deal with and communicate with people during tasks. At this time, it is necessary to pass a cigarette to others. So here, Sui Ya planned to bribe the two of them and try to enter the village. Brother the doorman, please make it easier and let me in, okay? This scene made Gangziti and Shenyu Izumo a little confused. Wasn't this man the one who attacked the village? Moreover, this is too easy to talk about, right? But should I smoke this cigarette? After the third Hokage had a nosebleed in the Hokage's office for a while, Konoha ninjas came to the rescue and quickly rescued him from the critical state of his lifeline. As soon as the third Hokage regained consciousness, he immediately said nervously, "Let the Konoha Jonin who are still in the village gather at my place. I want." The third Hokage was ready to immediately gather troops to stop Danzo, but who knew that he had not finished speaking. The rebuilt Konoha office building was once again destroyed. The invisible force lifted the upper floor of the Konoha office building and floated it in the air. Then the 6th generation Hinata threw all the members of the root organization to the ground. At the same time, she herself followed closely. After entering, the 6th generation Hinata closed the door politely, and put the other half of the Hokage's office building back. When the third Hokage's eyes fell on Danzo who was moved in, his eyes paused slightly. Has even Danzo been defeated? Moreover, judging from his distorted face, he probably failed miserably. The third Hokage sighed in his heart. If possible, he actually hoped that Danzo could win, but now it seems that his caution was correct. This man's strength is indeed unfathomable. At least, it is an invincible existence in Konoha today. Once it fights, it is likely to cause greater losses than when the Kyuubi attacked the village. Thinking of this, the third Hokage asked cautiously, "Who are you? What do you want to do to Konoha?" The 6th generation Hinata looked directly at this old face. In his world, the third Hokage was not actually a friend. In the end, he even resisted the policies of her teacher Orochimaru and was dismissed from his position. But at least, in the era of the third Hokage, the name of Shinobi was known to everyone. Judging from the judgment, the 6th generation Hinata will not underestimate him. Let's negotiate, the third Hokage. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Namikaze Hinata. I come from the Namikaze clan that lives in a small country outside of the Land of Fire. The 6th generation Hinata put away her thoughts and stated her purpose here. We, the Namikaze clan, want to settle in Konoha, so we hope to get a legal identity from you. We will register ninjas in Konoha. I hope you can allow it. The 6th generation Hinata wants to act in Konoha next. Although it is feasible to be unscrupulous, such an approach is not as good as rebuilding a village by herself. But to build a village, you need to have a population, and then there are many aspects to consider such as economy, food, and political stance. It's not just a few people who can fight. What's more important is that Naruto-kun wants to become Hokage, so she doesn't need to make other considerations. Helping Naruto-kun become Hokage is her current purpose. Therefore, compared with other ways to obtain identity, the 6th generation Hinata chose to become a foreigner and obtain the qualification to settle in Konoha. As long as you have a stable identity, you can avoid continuing to cause trouble to Naruto-kun. As for whether the 3rd Hokage will agree, the 6th generation Hinata was confident that he would. As for why he didn't use another surname but Namikaze, there is no need to ask for such a simple thing knowingly, because Naruto-kun's surname is Namikaze. The 3rd Hokage thought a lot about Hinata's purpose and origin, but he never thought that her purpose was to settle in Konoha. And Namikaze, isn't this the 4th generation's last name? Is it possible that she and the 4th Hokage come from the same family, and this is the reason why she is close to Naruto? However, the 3rd Hokage was a little moved by the 6th generation Hinata's proposal. The 3rd Hokage actually wouldn't think too much about whether the 6th generation Hinata had any special thoughts. The opponent has already demonstrated his strength. At least in this village, she can come and go freely. There is no need to compromise like this. After mastering the absolute victory, she still chooses this somewhat conceding statement. Therefore, I am afraid that the other party has the intention to settle down. Konoha itself was formed by the 1st Hokage gathering a group of ninjas from different families, and adding another ninja family was actually not a big deal. However, the addition of a new ninja family will definitely bring about the division of power and a new distribution of the village's power cake. However, the 3rd Hokage believes that these are nothing compared to the strength of the 6th generation Hinata. The apparent intimidation of the village is all related to the powerful ninja. For example, the 1st generation of Hokage in the past, and later the 4th generation of Hokage. In the era when their reputation began to spread, almost no ninja village dared to start a war. Although this 6th generation Hinata is incredible, the 3rd Hokage believes that she may also have this level of power. Let her join, and with her strength, she will definitely become Konoha's Dinghai Shenzhen. However, the 3rd Hokage was not sure about her identity and purpose. Seeing this, the 6th generation Hinata added, "We, the Namikaze clan, will stay in Konoha and have a relationship with Naruto-kun. Naruto, as long as you don't do anything that threatens Naruto, then we will always settle here." Sure enough, it was related to Naruto, or should be said to be the 4th Hokage. Hearing this, the 3rd Hokage did not agree immediately, but said, "This matter is very involved. I need to discuss it with the elders before I can give you an answer." The 6th generation Hinata nodded, and then said, "Then, give me an S-level mission. If I can complete an S-level mission, it will be easier for you to negotiate with them, right?" The 3rd Hokage looked at her in surprise, but shook his head and refused. "No, the S-level tasks in the village are all confidential. Even if you have the strength, I can't give the task to someone who has not registered in the village. You." "I know, that's it for now." The 6th generation Hinata actually didn't expect the 3rd Hokage to agree. She just stated her position, the position that she could complete the mission as a ninja of Konoha. After the 6th generation Hinata left, Danzo also resumed his actions. He looked at the 3rd Hokage with a hint of embarrassment and annoyance in his eyes. "If you want to make fun of me, feel free to make fun of me, Sarutobi. I didn't make fun of you, I didn't face her either. Stop comforting me." Danzo roared. He was always a little unable to control his emotions when facing the 3rd Hokage. He had been schemed against like that by Naruto before, or crushed by the 6th generation Hinata. Even if he was injured or beaten, he could still maintain a calm and clear mood. However, as long as the 3rd Hokage was involved and compared with the 3rd Hokage, he could not calm down. Obviously, the 3rd Hokage did nothing about this incident, but because he did nothing, it showed that he was better and more far-sighted than Danzo. Danzo was very angry, but he had to admit that in terms of the result, Sarutobi was right and he was wrong. Time and time again, He lost to Sarutobi every time. Could it be that he could never defeat Sarutobi even once in his life? Danzo stood up and walked away in a rather embarrassed manner. He was used to this kind of thing anyway. But so what if he loses to Sarutobi for the rest of his life? He established the roots of Konoha and was the darkness of Konoha. He still has things he must do. Danzo knew that there was no way to stop the 6th generation Hinata from joining Konoha. At least the other 2 members of the elder group, the 2 who had a neutral stance, would definitely agree to this. Therefore, the next thing he has to do is, in addition to dealing with the darkness of Konoha, the nature of the root tissue is to add some other properties. Turn the root organization into a force that confronts the Namikaze clan where the 6th generation Hinata belongs. Just like the 2nd generation Hokage had restrained the Uchiha clan. This time, it was Danzo's turn to restrain the Namikaze clan. Namikaze Hinata, as long as I am with you, I will not let you Namikaze clan do evil in Konoha. However, despite thinking this way, Danzo found out in despair that he was not like the 2nd Hokage who could stop the power that threatened Konoha. Power, power, power. What was hovering in Danzo's heart at this time was the cells that Orochimaru once studied, the 1st Hokage. If he could also master the wood release of the 1st Hokage, then maybe he would have the power to fight against the Namikaze clan. Just as Danzo was thinking this, an armored chakra giant suddenly appeared above Konoha. The space cracked, but what was different from the past was that the space cracked this time was quite huge. A huge arm stretched out from the cracked space. This arm was as huge as a tailed beast's hand. Immediately afterwards, a huge giant comparable to a tailed beast walked out of the space. The giant floated in the air with a pair of huge black wings behind it, and on the giant's shoulders stood a young man wearing a purple kimono. The young man opened his eyes, revealing a pair of strange-shaped pupils. In their clan, this pair of eyes is called the Mangekyo Sharingan, or in other words, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The young man looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar scenery and frowned slightly. Konoha? No, this is not the Konoha I know. Whether it is the Konoha I know, you will know if you try it. The young man thought, and the giant beneath him drew the sword from his waist. Then, high in the sky above Konoha, a sword slashed out. The atmosphere was shattered, and all the beasts were wailing. This sword fell on the statue of the 2nd Hokage on Hokage Cliff. The statue of the 2nd Hokage was completely chopped apart by this sword. Not only that, along the trajectory of the sword light, almost everything except Konoha's buildings was cut into pieces. The young man who had done all this said without moving his eyes, "The statue of the 2nd Hokage that can be chopped apart by my sword means that the statue of the 2nd Hokage was not enchanted by that woman, which means that this place is definitely not familiar to me, of Konoha. However, no matter which Konoha this is, since this is Konoha, then there must be my only brother. My sworn brother Namikaze Naruto. That man is here." After the complete Susanoo slashed out with a sword, Konoha's 6th generation Hinata immediately noticed it and looked in the direction of the Rinnegan Eye Sasuke. If nothing unexpected happens, this person should be the Uchiha Sasuke from the same world as her. The 6th generation Hinata thought to himself. Only the Uchiha Sasuke in her memory would be angry at the 2nd Hokage's policies that led to the decline of Uchiha, so he would look for opportunities to destroy the statue of the 2nd Hokage every day. After the 6th generation Hinata became Hokage, in order to prevent the statue of the 2nd Hokage from being destroyed, she performed a barrier defense on the statue of the 2nd Hokage, which finally solved the problem. However, if it is really Sasuke who comes from the same world as her, then the 6th generation Hinata will definitely not get along with him. However, the 6th generation Hinata was currently negotiating with the 3rd Hokage, so he could not be allowed to act arbitrarily. Thinking of this, the 6th generation Hinata, who had already arrived at the door of Naruto's house, turned around and flew away. The figure of the 6th generation Hinata in midair quickly attracted the attention of Rinnegan Sasuke, who was standing on Susanoo's shoulder. When the two met, they felt as if they were enemies meeting each other and were extremely jealous. Sasuke Uchiha, Hinata. Two unspeakable forces collided together, and for a moment, a power vacuum appeared in the air. During the brief confrontation between the two, many people in Konoha were aware of it, but there were probably only a few people who really knew the inside story of the matter. The third Hokage jumped to the roof, looking at the two people in the sky and the statue of the second Hokage that was chopped apart, with lingering fear. He had a guess in his mind. This person should probably be the opponent that Namikaze Hinata fought against before. It's just that the third Hokage originally thought that the two had a personal enmity, but now it seems that that person may have a greater personal enmity with the second Hokage, and the sixth Hokage instead. Dame Hinata might have just stopped him. Thinking of this, the third Hokage thought about the sixth generation Hinata's concession and the Namikaze clan. He couldn't help but have a bold idea in his heart. Is it possible that the Namikaze clan is actually the mother clan of the fourth Hokage, and for the sake of the fourth Hokage, they want to come over to protect Konoha? Although the third generation Hokage thinks that this possibility is not small, it is still just his own guess and cannot be counted. The third Hokage looked at the two people fighting in the air, with a trace of worry on his face. I don't know if Namikaze Hinata can stop this person. If it can't be stopped. The third Hokage remembered the ninjutsu left by the fourth Hokage and asked him to protect the village when necessary. Danzo looked at the two fighting in the air, his eyes first flashed with fire, and then came out endless unwillingness. That fire is hope, he can prove his hope. Such a strong enemy must be an enemy to Konoha. If he can sacrifice himself to defeat the opponent and protect the village, will it prove that he is better than the third Hokage? More qualified. However, Danzo found that facing such an opponent, he had no means to fight against him. That distance, that destructive power. If the other party really planned to destroy Konoha, then Danzo would not be able to die with him. The emotion generated by this is unwillingness, unwilling, extremely unwilling. The opportunity came, but he couldn't grasp it. If he now had the power to die with the other party, he could prove himself. Can I really never defeat Sarutobi once in my life? Danzo's calm expression was gone, and his face was distorted. He felt extremely unwilling. A blue light appeared in the eyes of the sixth generation Hinata. Samsara Eye Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan also gradually changed and turned into the shape of a circle pattern. An invisible repulsive force was generated between the two people at the same time, but it was offset again. Immediately afterwards, the two did not continue to attack, but looked at each other. If the two of them fight with all their strength, they will definitely destroy this area, and even directly knock down the continent. Therefore, after a brief exchange of blows and confirming that the other party was the person they knew, the two of them stopped attacking in a tacit agreement. However, Rinnegan Sasuke pulled out the Kusanagi sword from his waist, pointed it at the sixth generation Hinata and asked, "Where is my sworn brother?" Compared with other things, finding the whereabouts of his adopted brother was the most important thing. Whether it's the sense of mission in his mind or his own will, this is the top priority. Naruto-kun, stay with me. When Rinnegan Sasuke heard this, he seemed a little surprised by the other party's simple answer. As far as he knew, the sixth generation Hinata shouldn't have told him Naruto's location. However, it seemed that the sixth generation Hinata had no intention of fighting, so Sasuke with the Rinnegan Eye also withdrew the Kusanagi sword. "Take me there." "Wait a minute, you can't go over yet." Sasuke frowned and put his right hand on the hilt of the Kusanagi sword. Depending on Hinata's answer, he would consider whether to draw the sword. Sixth generation Hinata explained, "We have no identity in this world. I hope that the people who can let us come here can settle in Konoha, so I call myself the Namikaze clan. Negotiations are now underway. Before the negotiations are completed, we cannot appearing in Konoha. You don't want to make it difficult for Naruto-kun, right? You first find a place to stay outside Konoha, and when the negotiations are completed, I will notify you to come over." The sixth generation Hinata looked calm. Most of what she said was true, but a small part was false. She hoped that this small part of the Rinnegan could not hear it, but she also knew that it would be difficult. After all, Sasuke with the Rinnegan was a very thoughtful person. When Sasuke heard the words, he thought for a moment. If everything is really as the sixth generation Hinata said, then he will naturally do it, but... A cold look appeared in Sasuke's eyes. "Since you can stay in Konoha without waiting for the negotiations to be completed, then why should I wait until you have completed the negotiations before I can enter Konoha? Are you still planning that thing?" Quote. Hearing that incident, sixth generation Hinata's heart tightened slightly. Finally, one of her lies was about to be exposed, and she might not be able to hide it anymore. This is something she has lied to Naruto-kun since she came to this world. That's right. Although the words and things she said to Naruto before were all true, there were some things that she hid and didn't say. At the same time, what she said actually had an inductive nature, and her purpose was, "Sure enough, you want to take the opportunity to kick me away and let my adopted brother become Hokage." The sixth generation Hinata sighed inwardly, knowing that he could not hide it from the other party, and his plan was immediately exposed. However, although the expression of the sixth generation Hinata changed slightly, it soon returned to normal. "You are not the same, you plan to make Naruto-kun the leader of the Root Organization. Your mission in this world should be to make Naruto-kun the leader of the Root Organization." The leader of the Root Organization, right? As soon as they finished speaking, the two fell silent at the same time, and then they took action at the same time again. This time in the attack, the two were still equally matched. However, this was just the attitude of the two people, and they did not really indicate that they wanted to fight. Yes, they all have different purposes when they come to this world, and these purposes are all related to themselves and Naruto. When she came to this world, the sixth generation Hinata once told Naruto a lot about her changes after coming to this world. The only thing she didn't say was that when she came to this world, she accepted a mission. That is to make Naruto-kun the Hokage. In other words, it's not about accepting a mission. Before coming to this world, she heard a voice, "What kind of person do you want, Naruto, to be?" The first thought in sixth generation Hinata's mind at that time was what she had always hoped for in that world, that Naruto-kun could become Hokage. As a result, after coming to this world, apart from Naruto's affairs, she also had this sense of mission in her heart, the sense of mission to make Naruto-kun the Hokage. This thought kept popping up in her mind. The sixth generation Hinata thought that since she came like this, then Sasuke with the Rinnegan eye must also be similar. And now she has confirmed her thoughts. Looking back, Sasuke came to this world with a similar mission, except that he did not want Naruto to become Hokage, but to make Naruto a root organization. The leader. The mission of the two people was consistent with what they planned to do in the original world, so they quickly accepted this idea. However, at this time, the sixth generation Hinata realized another thing. If people like them appeared in the future, then it would be possible for Naruto-kun to become the leader of other forces. Even, the possibility of becoming the leader of the Akatsuki organization is not impossible. But at least, no such person has appeared yet, which allows the sixth generation Hinata to feel a little more relieved. If Sasuke is just the Rinnegan, he is an old opponent, and she can still control the situation to some extent. What's more, since she was the first to appear next to Naruto-kun, she has a huge advantage. This perfect start like a flying dragon riding on the face is so sure. No matter how much she makes trouble, is it possible that she can be overturned? In short, Naruto-kun, the Hokage is. Dang, certainly, got it. The two fought for a while, but they still couldn't decide the outcome. Eventually an agreement was reached and each took a step back. The sixth generation Hinata did not interfere with Rinnegan Sasuke's entry into Konoha, and Rinnegan Sasuke was not allowed to cause chaos in Konoha. After the two reached a negotiation, they turned their backs to each other and left with a tacit understanding, but neither of them made any move until they were out of each other's sight. As for such despicable things as sneak attacks from behind, of course both of them have considered it. Otherwise, he would not leave with his back to the opponent. This way of leaving must be for a sneak attack. It is a pity that the two of them have long been prepared to counterattack immediately when the other party makes a sneak attack. Therefore, it can be said that whoever strikes first may be at a disadvantage. In the end, both of them reached a tacit understanding and did not actually launch a sneak attack. Of course, the two people have similar ideas. Assassinate him so that there won't be another troublesome person around Naruto-kun. Assassinate her so that there will be no more troublesome people around the sworn brother. Sueya on the other side was still bribing him, but even though the two guards had taken advantage of the offer, they still wouldn't let him in. Shishia clenched his fists and said, "You two, I've given you cigarettes, why are you still refusing to let me in? These two people are so disgusting. Are these the gatekeepers of Konoha? Just collecting money and not doing anything is too much." Gangzati and Shenyu Izumo, who were smoking, looked at each other, both a little embarrassed, but still insisted on their duties. I'm sorry, brother, but this is our duty. But we have notified the village and you should be allowed in soon. Of course, they continued to smoke, and they didn't know where they bought the cigarettes. The two of them rarely smoked, but they could still smoke vigorously. You really won't let me in? Sueya asked coldly. The two Konoha gatekeepers were immediately startled. They were just smoking. They almost forgot about this person, but he had fighting power that could rival Kakashi. Gangzati quickly tried to persuade the other party, brother, it's not us. Don't say any more. Sueya interrupted them. After successive failures, he finally made up his mind. Since you won't let me in, then I have to do it myself. The two Konoha gatekeepers became alert when they heard this, and they all went on guard. Just then, Sue's teeth moved and he walked back. Then, with the two doormen looking confused, they built a house directly outside Konoha. Suiga commanded his ninja beast army and built a 4-story hut outside Konoha. Make enough food and clothing by yourself. Since you can't get in, then build your own house to live in. In their Konoha village, every ninja has certain water and wood engineering abilities. Because the buildings in the village are often destroyed, especially the Hokage statue, this course is very important and has become their Konoha village a required course for ninjas. Suiya has the construction ability equivalent to that of a Jonin. If he is allowed to act alone, he can build a small village 1/10 the size of Konoha village within a week. However, the house built by Sujiya is not an ordinary house, but a house with a store on the ground floor. Sueya smiled coldly in his heart. These people probably thought he was just building a house, right? Hum, just wait and see. Do you think that because he can't go in, he can't do anything? Suiya's original purpose of rushing in was to find Naruto and protect the Hokage. But looking at the battle in the sky just now, his own Hokage was so alive that he didn't need to protect him at all. If that's the case, then his only purpose is to find Naruto. But the problem is that he has a purpose in finding Naruto. In fact, when he came here, he also accepted a certain mission. And his mission is the same as that of the 6th generation Hinata, which is to make Naruto the Hokage. However, the 6th generation Hinata had her own way of making Naruto the Hokage, and Suiga had his own way of making Naruto the Hokage. Naruto, just watch, Inuzuka Kiba, will definitely make you the Hokage. Suiga was thinking as he hung up a sign on the storefront on the ground floor of the house. Namikaze Ninja will take the test at the Ninja Beast contract shop. Then, he took out another sign and stuck it on the ground. Our store provides ninja exam substitute and beating services. Academy test, 1 temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll costs 1 yuan. Graduation exam replacement, temporary contract with the Ninja Beast scroll for 5 yuan. Genin survival exercise substitute test, temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll is 20. For the Chunin exam, a temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll costs 300 million. Anbu test substitute, a temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll costs 500 million. The Root organization test substitute, a temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll is 1000 million. A substitute for the Junin exam, a temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll worth 3500 million. Hitting service, a Ninja Academy student, a temporary contract with a Ninja Beast scroll costs 1 yuan. Genin, 1 temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll costs 1. Chunin, 1 temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll costs 1. Anbu, 1 temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll costs 1. Special Jonin, 1 temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll costs 1 each. Junin, 1 temporary contract Ninja Beast scroll for 1 yuan. S-class rebel ninjas don't charge money because they can't be beaten. 5 big shadows don't charge money because they can't beat them. For all purchases in our store, ordinary members of the Ninja Beast Protection Association can enjoy discount. Premium members can enjoy 20% off. Junior VIPs can enjoy a 30% discount, and senior VIPs can enjoy a 50% discount. Gangzati and Shenyu Izuyun looked at the sign and couldn't help but feel it was a bit funny. Although this person looks very powerful, he doesn't seem to be very smart. Ninjas rely on their strength. Where do these ninjas come from and spend money to buy these services? However, Sueya didn't cause any trouble, and they thought it was good, so that they could get through it calmly until the village sent someone. However, what they didn't know was that many ninja beasts in suits and teeth had quietly sneaked into Konoha at this time. When the 6th generation Hinata came back, she didn't tell Naruto about the Rinnegan Sasuke, and Naruto was relieved to see her back safely. In my memory, the 6th generation Hinata was indeed very strong, but that didn't mean she wouldn't fall over. At the moment, it seems that there are indeed very few people in Konoha who can pose a threat to her. That night, the 6th generation Hinata did not pester Naruto, but locked herself in her room. The next day, when Naruto opened the door, he was met by the shining blue eyes of the 6th generation Hinata. Naruto-kun, starting from today, we will work hard to become Hokage. The two of them went out after breakfast. Because they left home much earlier than usual, Naruto did not ask the 6th generation Hinata what she wanted to do. The 6th generation Hinata took Naruto to the place where Sasuke was ambushed yesterday. Then, she said to Naruto, "Naruto-kun, do you know what are the necessary conditions to become Hokage?" Naruto thought for a moment and replied, "Let others recognize you." "That's right, but how do you get others to recognize you?" Naruto fell down at the question. If it is according to the book, then Naruto saved the world and made others recognize him. But now the boss is still far away, how can he solve a world-destroying incident? However, 6th generation Hinata's answer was slightly beyond Naruto's expectations. "Naruto-kun, you know why I collapsed suddenly yesterday?" Naruto couldn't help but said, "Hinata, aren't you exhausted of chakra?" "How is that possible?" Ludime Hinata said with a smile. "Do you think that as Hokage, I can't even control the consumption of my own chakra accurately?" Naruto was stunned for a moment, then thought about it carefully. Indeed, if he couldn't even control this kind of blue energy, how could he be the Hokage? Who likes the Hokage who has no blue before even fighting? Then you were. Because if I don't fall, Naruto-kun won't fight for me. In this way, no one knows Naruto-kun's strength. So yesterday, I just took this opportunity to give Naruto-kun a chance to show off. A platform for your own strength. The 6th generation Hinata was not worried that Naruto would be hurt yesterday. After all, he was the 9-tailed Jinchuriki and was very important to the village. The Jinchuriki's status is roughly like this. Although he was regarded as a monster in every village and lived in a difficult situation, in fact, he was able to grow up to a young age. To say that you rely on yourself is a bit of a fantasy. It can be said that the Jinchuriki of every village, even if they are treated as monsters, are still well protected. Probably only the 4th Kage, the funny-minded 4th generation Kage from Sunagakur village, would be able to tattoo his Jinchuriki son without any problems. Cultivating a Jinchuriki is not a simple matter. Therefore, after confirming that Naruto was safe, the 6th generation Hinata pretended that she had run out of chakra and asked the people of Konoha to take action, giving Naruto a chance to perform. Of course, the 6th generation Hinata didn't know how far Naruto could do it. However, since you want to become Hokage, you have to do things beyond the normal age level. Like the Naruto in this world, who is obviously a low achiever, but wants to become the Hokage or something. From the perspective of the 6th generation Hinata, it is very subtle and incredible. If it really happens, then in a sense, it can be said that this person in Konoha has a brain problem. Letting him become Hokage or something like that, is that a bit out of mind? The level of the cultural class is so poor, and he still wants to be a Hokage. It is estimated that his rights will be emptied by then, and he will become an image ambassador and professional thug serving the villagers. Apart from letting such a Hokage serve as a thug and a puppet, the 6th generation Hinata could not imagine what use a person with such a poor academic performance in being a Hokage would do. Do you really think that Hokage doesn't need culture? Speaking of which, Naruto-kun's mother lost to Naruto-kun's father because her cultural achievements were too poor. She could not become the Hokage and could only be the Hokage's woman. The Naruto-kun of this world seems to follow his mother more. However, because this Naruto-kun and the Naruto-kun that 6th generation Hinata knew are now the same person, so it can be said that the culture class has passed. And with knowledge, he naturally has the possibility of growth. All that's left is to give Naruto a chance to express himself. So the 6th generation Hinata had this plan the moment Naruto said she wanted to help him become Hokage. The results proved successful. However, the 6th generation Hinata discovered that Naruto-kun himself did not realize this. After listening to what she said, Naruto-kun did show a confused expression. He really didn't quite understand the significance of yesterday's battle. Therefore, the 6th generation Hinata continued. Naruto-kun, you may not know it, but in yesterday's battle, you have used your own strength to make those rebellious root organization ninjas remember you. To them, you are no longer a soldier who can be defeated at will, but a ninja who can threaten their lives. When Naruto heard this, he felt a little incredible. It's unlikely. Although he did defeat the members of the root organization yesterday, he believed that he was actually lucky, and there was still a lot of luck involved. In a true one-on-one confrontation, he believed that he was definitely no match for the root organization. Seeing this, the 6th generation Hinata tilted his head slightly. It seems that Naruto-kun still doesn't have a clear understanding of his own strength. But it doesn't matter. I brought you here for 2 reasons. One is to help you became Hokage, and the other one is also to find you an opponent who can make Naruto-kun aware of his own strength. The 6th generation Hinata raised his head at this time and looked at the little fan who was walking towards here. He smiled and said, "What a coincidence. As soon as I mentioned him, he came." Naruto also followed his gaze and looked over, and when he saw the person coming, he couldn't help but think. Since I have to prove myself just like yesterday, then, do you want to use Naruto's 36 eggs to deal with Sasuke? Chapter 31, Uchiha Mansion. When Sasuke got up in the morning, he found his father still in the hall, so he went over and said, "Hello, father." Sasuke's father Fugaku nodded. At this time, Fugaku suddenly asked, "Sasuke, although getting number 1 in the Ninja Academy is nothing to be proud of, but if you can't get number 1, it's not enough to be called an Uchiha." Sasuke nodded, wondering why his father suddenly said this. Then, after hesitating for a moment, Fugaku continued, "It's nothing, you go to school." Sasuke was a little confused. When he left the hall and prepared to go to the Ninja Academy, his mother Makoto was waiting at the door. Makoto smiled and said, "Actually, he wanted to praise you for winning no. 1, but he's not very good at talking." Sasuke's mother, Makoto, would occasionally say that her father didn't actually care about him, but he was just not good at expressing feelings. After hearing this, Sasuke immediately understood what his father had just done, and he went to school a little happily. And compared to the calmness before, his current mood seems a little excited. Although he is still not as good as his brother, he is from the Uchiha clan and got number 1 in the exam. Isn't this a matter of course? Of course not. This is number 1 that will be praised by my father. Sasuke clenched his fists and thought happily. Yes, this is number 1 who is more powerful than anyone else. Next time, he will be number 1. With such a mood, Sasuke was squatted down by the 6th generation Hinata and Naruto. When Naruto saw Sasuke, he didn't know what to say. When Naruto was still in a stupid state, he had flirted with the other party a few times, but now that Naruto has mastered the knowledge and memory, he is not as impulsive as before. Going directly to say that he wants to have a fight with the other party is a bit subtle. That's a bit right, isn't it? Therefore, Naruto just looked at Sasuke and said nothing. As for Sasuke, he just glanced at Naruto and then looked away, focusing his attention on the 6th generation Hinata. Naruto is just a weakling, but this 6th generation Hinata is the one who can kill him instantly. However, Sasuke still had some guesses as to the purpose of the 6th generation Hinata's visit. It must be for that smelly sock. So Sasuke took out Naruto's smelly socks from his trouser pocket. "Sister, you are here to get." Then, before Naruto could see what Sasuke was holding, Sasuke was beaten out. While the 6th generation Hinata knocked Sasuke away with a palm, he quickly stuffed Naruto-kun's socks back into Sasuke's trouser pocket, and then said seriously, "Don't take this kind of treasure out casually, you won't be afraid of being seen by others." At the same time, the 6th generation Hinata carefully looked at Naruto next to him. Well, Naruto-kun didn't notice that these were his socks, so he was safe. Sasuke covered his face, feeling so aggrieved. At the same time, he felt the socks being stuffed into his trouser pocket, which made him feel even more aggrieved. He really doesn't want this thing. Sister, can you take it back? Okay. At this time, the 6th generation Hinata went straight to the point. I'm not looking for you this time, it's Naruto-kun who is looking for you. He wants to fight you one-on-one. When Sasuke heard this, he immediately refused. No, he can't beat me. He is the number 1 in the Ninja Academy, while Naruto is just the bottom of the Ninja Academy. Their strength is completely incomparable. It was a fight without suspense, so he refused. Another very important point is that if he wins, he may be beaten by this sister, and he doesn't want to be beaten anymore. When Naruto heard this, he raised his eyebrows slightly. Although this seemed normal to Sasuke, it sounded a bit harsh to him. However, Naruto also knew that only he knew that his strength was different from the past, and no one else knew. Therefore, whether Sasuke's judgment was wrong or not, it was definitely correct, but this feeling of being looked down upon made him just feel annoyed. Upon seeing this, the 6th generation Hinata did not continue to let the two fight to prove Naruto's strength, but said, in that case, I'll excuse you. Let's go, Naruto-kun. Sasuke was a little surprised to see the other party accepting it so easily, but he didn't think much about it. For him, this matter was just a small matter. After all, no one cares about an opponent who can be easily defeated, right? The two of them walked on the road without saying a word. The 6th generation Hinata suddenly asked, Naruto-kun, is it strange? I asked you to go to Sasuke to fight with me. Why didn't I continue to ask you to fight Sasuke after Sasuke refused? Naruto hesitated and then nodded. Indeed, he was also very surprised. Wasn't this trip in vain? The 6th generation Hinata said, although I said to fight directly, this is not the purpose of bringing Naruto-kun there. Compared to fighting there, not fighting there is actually more important to the present. For Naruto-kun, it will definitely be more rewarding. However, it's not like we won't fight. Naruto showed a puzzled expression. The 6th generation Hinata just looked at the pedestrians coming and going, and continued, Naruto-kun, even if you defeated him there, not many people know about it. When Naruto heard this, he was thoughtful. He seemed to understand the vague meaning of the 6th generation Hinata's words. His goal is not to defeat Sasuke, but to see himself clearly, and then the ultimate goal is to be recognized by others and become Hokage. In other words, even if Sasuke is defeated there, at most he will only be recognized by Sasuke alone. In the eyes of others, he is still the weakest person. Sure enough, the 6th generation Hinata continued. Naruto-kun, in order to be recognized by others, the first thing you have to do is for someone to know that you have done something worthy of their attention. Even if you defeated Sasuke there, not many people would know that you did it. What, you are still the weakest person? Of course, my purpose was very simple at the beginning. I really just wanted Naruto-kun to defeat Sasuke and then gain some understanding of my own strength. But now, doesn't Naruto-kun have something even better to gain? After hearing this, Naruto somewhat understood what the 6th generation Hinata had said. Although he didn't fight Sasuke, so Naruto didn't know his current strength. But through Sasuke's words and attitude, Naruto could see clearly who he was now in Sasuke's heart. It's just a crane tail that you don't need to care about at all. However, the key point is that Sasuke's attitude is also different from other people's. Sasuke ignored Naruto because he thought he was a loser, but others had more than just this reason. Hinata, when you say gain, you mean seeing yourself clearly in the eyes of others, right? That's right, people can't see themselves directly or clearly, but they can see themselves clearly through the eyes of others. Now, if Naruto-kun wants others to recognize him, he has to go through all kinds of people in the village. With the eyes of others, you can see yourself clearly bit by bit. Maybe Naruto-kun thinks everyone in the village has the same attitude, but that's not the case. Not all adults are the same, and not all children are the same. Do you think Naruto-kun in Sasuke's eyes will be the same as Naruto-kun in the eyes of other peers? Do you think Naruto-kun in the eyes of people with poor academic performance is the same as in the eyes of people with good academic performance? Naruto-kun, will it be the same? People are different, so different people will have different opinions on the same person. So, if Naruto-kun wants to become Hokage, the first thing he must learn is to learn to see people. If he wants to take measures to make others recognize him as Hokage in the future, then Naruto-kun must first understand, how do the people in the village see themselves? Even in the same village, they will definitely have different views based on their different positions. Only by understanding what kind of people or the people in the village can Naruto-kun take appropriate measures to gain their approval. There may be people who ignore Naruto-kun, but there are definitely people who sympathize with Naruto-kun. There are people who don't ignore Naruto-kun, but there are definitely people who pay attention to Naruto-kun. Invite more people to recognize you and ignore those who will never recognize you. How do they see themselves? Naruto suddenly realized that although the other Naruto's memory contained a lot of knowledge, it didn't seem to really know everything. At least, Naruto's memory had never experienced this kind of learning to see clearly other people's attitudes towards him. From the perspective of the fused memory, his life is normal, and he has no thoughts of becoming Hokage, so he doesn't need to think about getting approval from others. He just needs to keep learning and living in his own circle every day. However, for Naruto who wants to be Hokage, who wants to be a Hokage with his own style, this step is indispensable. Can you see clearly how others treat you? In class, Naruto's eyes were subconsciously looking at the people in the class. The first task given to him by the 6th generation Hinata was to start by understanding the people around him. Before this, Naruto actually didn't think too much about how people around him felt about him, but rather treated them equally. Everyone is a villager, so he needs everyone's approval. However, Naruto never once tried to find out who these villagers were. Naruto was busy enough just playing pranks to attract others' attention, so he had no time to observe the people around him. This was who he used to be. Naruto looked at Mr. Iruka who was teaching on the stage. If there was a waiting list of people who recognized him first, then Iruka must be on it. Because he had read that book, Naruto knew what kind of person Iruka was. His family had died because of the Kyuubi's attack on the village, so he should have been prejudiced against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, but he didn't. So, why? Is it because he is a teacher? No, it's because he saw his own efforts. That's right, as Hinata said, it doesn't matter what you do, but what matters is that when you do something, others see what you do. If Iruka hadn't been his teacher and hadn't noticed that he was working hard alone, would Iruka's attitude towards him change? Will not. Thinking about it this way, what I did in the past was really subtly stupid. He shouts that he wants to become Hokage, hides himself so that no one knows that he is practicing hard, but on the surface he still likes to play pranks on the people in the village. Such a person, even if he is not the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, is unlikely to be liked by others. In this world, the only ones who can tolerate others adding trouble and burden to themselves are family members. As for the people of a village, even if they are taught every day that they are a family that loves each other, there will definitely be differences between those who are close and those who are distant. It must be a very bad thing to regard fire consciousness as the basic literacy of Konoha villagers. If you really need to memorize a few books and talk about some morals, everyone will become a patriot and a lover of the village, and there will be no need for a daimyo. I'm so worried about whether I have 2 or 5 boys under my command. When Naruto was thinking this, Iruka said on the stage, everyone is used to the life of the ninja academy, but the classmates don't know each other yet, so I want to choose someone to be the class monitor to be responsible for contacting the class. Any of my classmates. As soon as he finished speaking, a hand was raised. Naruto said, Iruka-sensei, I want to be the class president. Seeing this, Yaya immediately said sarcastically, no, Crane Tail also wants to be the squad leader. He wasn't targeting Naruto, he just didn't like the fact that Cranitail was so pushy. After Ya opened his mouth, many people in the class said the same thing. Yeah, Naruto can't do it. That's right, he's a jerk. Although this time it was also about Naruto's rising from behind, but because Sasuke didn't express his attitude, no one said much to speak for him. Naruto didn't take this situation seriously, but said, Iruka-sensei, I will get the first place in this exam. If I get the first place, then everyone will not object to me taking the exam. The monitor. Iruka was a little worried about Naruto making a noise at first, but seeing Naruto's calm attitude that was different from the past, he was a little surprised and relieved. Sure enough, Naruto also changed a little. Okay, if you become number 1, you will be the monitor. At this time, Ya curled his lips and said, you can still get first place, with your last-minute results. Naruto didn't retort, just showed a slightly weird smile. This smile is not because he is happy that after merging memories, he will definitely get first place this time and slap these people in the face. What he is thinking about now should be even worse for this group of students. Naruto murmured. Indeed, just playing a prank won't attract other people's attention at all. It's just grandstanding. What can attract attention should be the right thing that half of the people approve of and half of the people oppose. The right thing is not the right thing, but because it is right, there will be people who will support you. Almost no one in the class noticed Naruto's change in state. Only Shikamaru looked over subconsciously. For some reason, he always felt uneasy in his heart. This Naruto looks even more like a troublemaker than before. I hope there won't be any trouble. A few days later, the exam for this period also started. In addition to the written examination, the Ninja Academy also has a practical ability test. The score of the two tests combined is the score of each period. The graduation exam is just a small test of ninjutsu. In fact, when dividing classes, they will still be assigned based on their scores. In addition to the competition, the scores also include basic ninja abilities. First, Naruto and the others started with the assessment of kunai throwing ability. Although this ability is not Naruto's weakness, to the crane tail, his strengths are his weaknesses to others. Naruto looked over and saw that the girls in the class were throwing kunai. Their level was almost the same as his before, just so-so. It cannot be said that it is unqualified, but at most it is the standard score line for passing. Basically, training in the Ninja Academy does not need to be so strict. Being able to hit the target is considered qualified. Of course, being able to do this is not that simple. At this moment, Ya took the lead and flew out a kunai that accurately hit the center of the target. Ya laughed loudly. Have you seen it? This is my strength. However, the target of his ridicule was not towards Naruto, but towards the girls. He still remembered the grudges he had against those girls before. He hated Naruto because he simply didn't want to see the crane tail get the limelight. He was completely disgusted with the girls in the class. You are more powerful when you get together. One-on-one, you are no match for me. He opened his teeth and taunted. The girls looked at Ino. Among them, Ino was definitely the more powerful one. Ino said nothing, just picked up the kunai and threw it at the target. As a result, although her grades were much better than those of other girls, they were obviously at a toothless level. Ino gritted her teeth. Although she wanted to use her results to refute her teeth, it was obvious that she was unable to do so due to her strength. At this time, the uniform voices of the women in the class suddenly came. Ah, Sasuke, so handsome. I saw Sasuke casually pick up a kunai, and then accurately hit the target. Sasuke's score in the written test was actually not very high, but generally few ninjas would have trouble passing the written test. Basically, if you could pass the written test, that would be it. Sasuke's ability to become number 1 in his grade mainly relies on his actual combat skills. This kunai throwing is naturally his strength. However, Sasuke looked at the kunai he threw, but he was not very satisfied. For him, this level was not even close to his brother's level, it was still far behind. Sasuke thought to himself, glanced around, and subconsciously recalled what his father said before. Indeed, if it were just an assessment for the Ninja Academy, then it would not be worth mentioning for an Uchiha clan like him. The Uchiha are an elite clan, and it is impossible for there to be people at the level of cranes like miscellaneous soldiers. Sasuke slowly took back the kunai. Although there was no fluctuation on the surface, in his opinion, he had already won this exam. The first thing in daily college is loneliness. At this time, there was a brush. The sound of a kunai hitting the target was heard. Immediately afterwards, there was another swipe, and the sound of a kunai hitting a kunai came. Sasuke quickly looked over, only to find that Naruto had one kunai after another in his hand, and then he aimed at the target and fired continuously. This level of accuracy made Sasuke's entire face look ugly. This kunai throwing technique is almost catching up with his brother's, right? Naruto, it's you next. When it was Naruto's turn, he found that he was surprisingly not nervous at all. After all, This kind of thing is actually just a child's game for the Naruto who has merged his memories. Naruto picked up the kunai, but did not throw it out immediately. Instead, he put it down, then suddenly raised his hand and said, "Iruka-sensei, I'm afraid I won't be able to shoot accurately. Can you prepare more kunai for me?" Hearing this, Iruka felt that something was wrong. After all, didn't Naruto confidently say that he would be the first in the exam? But I think this is normal considering Naruto's strength. Finally he agreed to come down and prepare the kunai. Naruto picked up a kunai and shot it directly as if he didn't aim. Seeing that he didn't take it seriously, Iruka was about to scold him, but unexpectedly found that the kunai hit the target, and it was in the center. The accuracy was not inferior to Sasuke's. Iruka was a little surprised. "Naruto, yes, you seem to be able to get a good score this time." However, at this time, Naruto casually took out a kunai and threw it out. This kunai fell into the same position as the previous kunai, without any difference. After shooting like this 5 times in a row, everyone in the class finally gathered around. "Naruto shot well. Why do I feel that he is more powerful than Sasuke? How is it possible? Sasuke is the best." Shikamaru looked here, and for some reason, his expression turned gloomy. Choji next to him saw this and asked in confusion, "Shikamaru, why are you unhappy when Naruto did well? If it was before, then I would be very happy, but now I only have a bad feeling." Shikamaru was very smart, and he could clearly see what Naruto was planning. And that thing is definitely not interesting. However, he didn't know exactly what Naruto was planning to do. Hinata looked at Naruto quietly, and then whispered Naruto's name. However, her expression was not very good. "Naruto-kun, you don't look very happy." Naruto was indeed unhappy at this time. Although the kunai he threw was top-notch for these Ninja Academy students, this level was still far from the masters who threw kunai in his memory. Throwing kunai should not be so straightforward, but more fancy. But can he do this now? Naruto's eyes suddenly became firm. Then, Naruto suddenly grabbed 5 kunai and threw them into the sky. At the same time, Naruto threw another kunai. This kunai shot a kunai in the air, then turned and hit another kunai, but after hitting 3 kunai, it fell down. Seeing this, Naruto sighed helplessly. As expected, even having experience is not enough. Although the flashy kunai throwing has nothing to do with the actual combat level of the ninja, generally the more capable the ninja is, the higher his technical level will be. Naruto stopped playing and said to the stunned Iruka next to him, "Iruka-sensei, I should be qualified." Of course, of course." Naruto walked over slowly. At this time, when he came to the side of Ya, he suddenly said, "Ya. Why, do you want to ridicule me? Let's wait until you get first place in the exam." Ya immediately said that he did not want to give Naruto a chance to ridicule, and it was just a lesson of throwing kunai. It was indeed not a guaranteed first place. After all, there were still many tests. When Naruto heard this, he shook his head and said, "No, I have no interest in mocking you, but Ya, I think school is a place for learning, not a place for playing. So if I become the class president, the first thing is definitely to establish the class spirit. Although Akamaru is your ninja beast, the ninja beast should stay in the ninja beast scroll and not come out during class, right?" When Naruto said this, Akamaru, who was on the head of the tooth, immediately let out a low growl. Ya quickly pressed it and was about to say something. But at this moment, Naruto glanced at Akamaru, and then the kunai in his hand suddenly shot out. The kunai passed through the corner of Akamaru's eye, only taking away one of its hairs. "Don't scare me. Look, if it roars suddenly like this in class, won't it affect everyone's mood in class?" Ya was a little frightened by this move. He held Akamaru next to him and said no more, but looked at Naruto with a slightly unconvinced expression. Naruto glanced at Ya, and then glanced at the surrounding students one by one. His eyes were different from the past. They were extremely oppressive. Almost all the students he saw subconsciously avoided his gaze. Seeing this, Naruto smiled nonchalantly and said, "I think studying is the duty of Ninja Academy students. You can't sleep in class, you can't be distracted, you can't eat snacks, you can't fall in love early, and you can't disturb others in class. I think it's necessary only by doing this can you be a qualified student." Naruto's eyes swept over the students in the class one after another. This is the duty of students, isn't it? So, who is for it and who is against it? At this moment, what Shikamaru had been worried about finally happened. Naruto was really going to cause trouble. If he couldn't sleep during class, his whole body would feel cold. Choji next to him almost dropped the potato chips in his hand. What, you can't eat snacks in class? Does that mean I can only eat dinner in class? Ino and Sakura put their hands on their hips dissatisfied and said, Naruto, even if you become the class president, you won't be able to control so much. What's more, you may not be able to become the class president. Although Sasuke frowned slightly, in the end he just put his hands in his pockets and said nothing. Except for the fact that he did not allow Naruto to become number one, he still supported other things that Naruto said. As for Hinata, she didn't say anything, just lowered her head, and then thought to herself. I'm cold. She couldn't be distracted during class, that is to say, she had to turn on her Byakugan during class, and then use her mind and ears to listen to all directions, so that she could study and observe Naruto-kun at the same time. Moreover, can't we fall in love prematurely? Can't you fall in love early? Why can't we fall in love early? Shikamaru noticed everyone's thoughts, but frowned slightly. He didn't understand. Why did Naruto tell these things when he wanted to cause trouble, instead of talking about it after he became the squad leader? By saying this now, doesn't it mean that others will oppose him becoming the squad leader? Sure enough, as the girls shouted, more people began to object. Naruto, you don't have the final say in this class. That's right, you are just the tail end of the crane, why do you have the final say? A few students say something to each other. At this time, Naruto formed a seal with his hands, and dozens of shadow clones appeared, making dumplings, and quickly captured these students, both male and female. Among them, including Sakura, the only girl in the class who didn't touch him and yelled at him was Ino. Sakura was caught and felt a little confused. It was too much for Naruto to do this to her. However, Sakura used to say that she dared to beat up Naruto, but now facing this Naruto, for some reason, she felt a little timid. Naruto, you. Ino, on the other hand, was dissatisfied and wanted to say something, but was held back by Shikamaru. Naruto slowly stepped on a young man's head under his feet, then glanced at everyone and asked, who else is objecting now? At this time, someone immediately complained to Iruka. Iruka-sensei, Naruto is fighting. Iruka was recording nearby and didn't pay attention to this. When he saw it, he immediately stopped them. Naruto, let them go. Teacher Iruka, I said before that if you study more, you will be more likely to survive on the battlefield in the future. Do you think it is wrong for me to ask them to concentrate on studying? Iruka was speechless. Indeed, the Ninja Academy does not train civilians such as scholars or professional technicians, but ninjas who go to the battlefield, nor is it a disciplined team. What's more, discipline is something that only starts when you become a Chunin or Anbu. I'll talk about it bit by bit. On a larger stage, what Kurigakure village once did was much crueler than this. Their ninja academy was so cruel that it was called the Blood Mist. It can be said that although Naruto's attitude was excessive, he actually did nothing wrong. What's more, compared to Blood Mist, he was actually not very cruel, just a bit harsh. But Iruka just felt like something wasn't quite right. Naruto, let them go anyway. Iruka-sensei, there is no such thing as a teacher saying that they can be saved by asking for mercy on the battlefield. Naruto did not continue to refute, but let go first, and then said, Iruka-sensei, if everything is okay, then I will go back to the classroom to read. Since fusing his memories, Naruto is now slightly obsessed with the habit of reading. As for the reaction of the students present, Naruto could clearly see it even without looking. After Naruto left, some students reacted angrily. Why is he so arrogant? Isn't he just a jerk? It's just the end of the crane, why should you care about us? When everyone said something to each other, Sasuke suddenly said, if this is the case, then why didn't you just say it in front of him? The crowd was speechless. Sasuke didn't look at the group of people again, but returned to the classroom as well. At the same time, Sasuke seemed to realize that there were some differences between the Naruto he knew in the past. Sasuke even had a very strange thought. Can he still beat Naruto now? Afterwards, Sasuke put this incredible thought aside. Can't win. Joke. He is the genius of the Uchiha clan, how could he not be able to defeat him, even if Naruto is not the last person to win? Ino came back to his senses at this time and said dissatisfiedly, Shikamaru, why did you stop me? Naruto just went too far. Ino, do you think Naruto was wrong just now? Hee hee. Ino was a little annoyed to find that what Naruto said was actually correct. Ino is different from Sakura in that her family's ancestors are ninjas. Because of this, she can also understand the cruelty of ninjas better, but after all, it is just the experience taught by her family. Even if she thinks it's cruel, she can't accept it completely. She just has this concept, the ninja world is very cruel. What Naruto just said is similar to the experience taught by the Ino family, whether it was learning survival skills at the Ninja Academy or pleading for mercy on the battlefield was meaningless. But the problem is, Ino still feels that Naruto's behavior is indeed excessive and a bit unacceptable. But when Shikamaru said this, Ino felt that even if she couldn't accept it, she couldn't deny Naruto. Choji next to him was still crying at this time. Shikamaru, since Naruto has become the class president, will I not be able to eat snacks in class from now on? Maybe. Although Chosei's family practiced ninjutsu like this, Shikamaru was not sure whether Naruto would do this, but I don't think so. Why? Because the only person he didn't attack just now was Ino. Choji's eyes widened and he also reacted. Yes, why didn't Naruto take action against Ino? Could it be that he likes Ino? No, Shikamaru was a little speechless, but he still explained simply, because he is doing what is right for our family. Dinky was a little confused and said he didn't understand at all. What do you mean? Shikamaru just shook his head and did not continue to explain. This was just his guess. There were some things that he suddenly found that he did not see clearly. He felt that he might need to ask his parents. This gave Shikamaru a very novel feeling. He is very smart, so he can see most things clearly, hence the habit of laziness. However, if there is something that he cannot easily understand now, then he will definitely be curious and want to understand and analyze it. At this moment, Shikamaru felt a curiosity that he had never had before. He was puzzled by Naruto's behavior, and then became interested. Let me see what you're trying to do, Naruto. In the past, Naruto did things unexpectedly, but he was just stupid, just like the plot of the story unfolded brilliantly but without logic. For people like Shikamaru, just read it casually to relieve his boredom. But now, although Naruto still does things unexpectedly, every step he makes is traceable, which makes Shikamaru feel like he is playing chess with his father. Excitement arises spontaneously. It's a lot of fun fighting with people. Ya now feels that he is really lucky. It's just destiny. He touched Akamaru's head and said, Akamaru, we are really lucky. Akamaru also shouted in agreement. If Kiba hadn't taunted Naruto right away, I'm afraid one of them and one dog would have been captured by now. We'd better not be so wasteful when doing things in the future. But to be fair, Ya looked at the group of chatty female classmates captured by Naruto and felt very happy. However, Ya felt unwilling to do so. If I were like Naruto and had the strength to capture them, I wouldn't have had to fight with them so much before. It's just that Naruto's fighting methods are something that Kiba feels he can't learn. However, Kiba's sister will be back in a few days. He thinks he can ask his sister to see if he can learn some powerful ninja skills, technique. Hinata looked at Naruto's leaving figure in a daze. Even if he's a little different, he's still Naruto-kun. Hinata clenched her hands into fists inadvertently. She also wanted to be a little like Naruto-kun, to become a person who could not care about the eyes of the people around her and say what she wanted to say. However, thinking about her own character, Hinata felt a little downcast. It would be great if she could be like the sister before and speak her mind without any hesitation. Recalling the sister before, Hinata subconsciously felt that it would be great if they met again, so that they could talk about Naruto-kun. She was sure that the sister would also like this kind of topic. After the previous kunai test, no one mocked Naruto in front of him during the entire class, and Naruto, who realized this, also felt somewhat clear in his heart. If he had dealt with such a change in private instead of being watched by so many people in the classroom, would there still be so many people showing such an attitude? Will not. But Naruto also knew very well that what really determined this change in attitude was not the sudden burst of power from Naruto, but the accuracy with which Naruto burst out of power. Correctness is an excuse to exercise power. Regardless of whether it is correct in terms of results, at least when this correctness is accepted by some people, Naruto will receive less criticism and gain a certain number of supporters. Of course, it is not up to him to decide whether it is correct or not, but some people think that what he did is correct. This is the principle of doing things with reason and evidence. Even if he becomes Hokage, it is impossible to be recognized by everyone. Because of this, what Naruto has to do is to get the recognition of those people who can make him Hokage. In the past, Naruto's so-called method of attracting others' attention was through pranks. In fact, it was impossible to win others over to the same position as him and think that what he did was right. Oh no, maybe Konohamaru can be counted as one. Because this matter is not correct in the eyes of others. However, Naruto has Iruka who is willing to recognize him. However, did Iruka suddenly support him unconditionally? No, after all, he is not a family member, but a teacher. He certainly cannot support her unconditionally. With Iruka's support, Naruto did what he thought was right, study hard. Naruto in the book, he defeated pain, which was the right thing for the people of Konoha, so he got the support of the villagers of Konoha after the war. He ended the war and became a hero. Most ninjas around the world thought this was the right thing to do, so he received support from all over the world. This is the reason why the Naruto in the book can gradually be supported by others. What Naruto wants to do now is to use this correctness that can be recognized by others to win the favor of more people. What he just said and did may not be acceptable to the students of the Ninja Academy. But what Naruto did was not right for them, but right for their parents and family. Of course, before that, Naruto also divided the people of Konoha into 4 general temporary positions. 1. Ninjas and their descendants who know the relationship between the 4th Hokage and Naruto and have good intentions towards Naruto. 2. Ninjas and their descendants who know the existence of the 4th Hokage and Naruto but still harbor ill will towards Naruto. 3. Konoha villagers who are unaware of the 4th Hokage's relationship and harbor ill will towards Naruto. 4. Konoha villagers who do not know the relationship between the 4th Hokage and maintain a neutral attitude towards Naruto. Now that there is no Konoha collapse plan, no pain, and no Uchiha Madara as an opponent, Naruto does not need to consider whether he can win over those who have a malicious stance towards him. This is basically impossible to win over. Conflicts will only be covered by other contradictions. To win over people who regard Naruto as a demon fox, all he needs to do is wait or create conflicts to cover up the original conflicts. Such as the Konoha collapse plan and Pain's attack on the village. It is precisely because they attracted Konoha's hatred to themselves and caused greater casualties than the Kyuubi's attack on the village. Therefore, the villagers of Konoha in the book will gradually shift. Conflict transferred Naruto, who had a small conflict, into a larger conflict. Therefore, Naruto does not need to consider these people. He only needs to consider winning the support of neutral or well-intentioned people. But the village is too big. Just looking at the class, there are 2 types, those who can treat him normally and those who ignore him. The former includes not only Kiba's ridicule, Sasuke's contempt and other miscellaneous people who have opinions on Naruto's identity. The latter was ignored no matter what Naruto did. To put it bluntly, the core thing that Naruto thinks is very important is that first of all, his previous personality was not a lovable one, so he cannot force everyone to behave like Iruka. Look at the good places and do your own subjective beautification. You should be an annoying person as you should be, and you can't show yourself beautiful pictures just because you encounter misfortune. For Sasuke to be so contemptuous and for Toba to have such a bad mouth every day, this is normal contact and attitude. Before you feel that you are a victim, you first need to examine whether you are a real victim, or whether you are simply a victim of paranoia who likes to commit suicide. These are the experiences of Namikaze Naruto who merged his memories. At least Naruto felt that it made sense to compare himself with the book in his current situation. In the past, he sought death every day. Even if there was something wrong with the attitude of the villagers, his own outlook on life must also be very abnormal. Nothing but hard work, this is what Naruto thinks of his former self. Therefore, clarifying his 3 views, doing the right thing, and winning over his supporters are the first steps for Naruto to take the path of becoming a Hokage. From now on, Naruto feels that it is very successful. At least, there aren't fewer of those unhappy and impatient looks around him now because he's behind the wheel, isn't it? Naruto felt that the contempt around him now turned into anger compared to before, and he felt secretly happy. Why didn't I think of such a simple and quick way before? Since everyone refuses to listen to me, then I will beat them until they are willing to listen to me. You'll be honest after just one beating. This was the conclusion that Naruto came to after looking around and seeing that there were many people in the class who were obviously unhappy and angry, but they all started to listen obediently, listened more carefully, and wanted to defeat Naruto with their strength. Keep it up, Naruto mentally shouted to himself to try harder. However, there are honest people and there are certainly dishonest people. After Naruto captured the people, although some took advantage of this setback to become stronger, others thought that what Naruto did was wrong and sued the teacher for his actions. However, what no one knew was that news about these people would soon disappear. And who solved them? Here, the storyline will be slightly pulled towards the Rinnegan Sasuke summoned by Naruto. When Naruto started preparing for the exam at school, Rinnegan Sasuke was walking around Konoha. He had already met his adopted brother in this world once before, and after just one glance, he knew that this was his adopted brother Naruto Namikaze. Sasuke didn't go to see Naruto with his Rinnegan. After all, the two were just sworn brothers who drank the sworn wine. They were not married, so there was no need to be together all day long. In his original world, Sasuke with the Rinnegan Eye was the leader of a powerful organization in Konoha that could compete with the 6th generation Hinata Hokage. After he came to this world, he would naturally not do some petty things like Suiya did. What's more, Rinnegan Sasuke's mission is to make his adopted brother the leader of the root organization. If this is the case, then he must first take control of the root organization in this world step by step. But first, Rinnegan Sasuke wanted to resolve something personal. So, in the dark and windy night, Sasuke with the Rinnegan Eye came to the Uchiha station and stayed there. At this time, a boy who was so full of personality that girls would scream just when he saw him walking slowly walked over. This boy's name is Uchiha Itachi, and he is the one behind whom Sasuke is squatting. Itachi was very annoyed now, not as annoying as before, but still very annoyed. Not long ago, as the relationship between Konoha and Uchiha gradually became tense, Itachi, who was sent by Uchiha to steal information from the Hokage forces, also became a pawn of the Hokage forces buried in the Uchiha clan. The two identities began to work hard to ease the conflict between the clan and the village. However, the results were minimal, and as the atmosphere became more and more tense, Itachi now returned to the Uchiha clan and was chased by the clan members every day to ask for information from the top officials of Konoha. When I went to the Anbu side, I had to report the information on the Uchiha side. This kind of pretending to live a life on both sides made Itachi very annoying, but fortunately, there was a fellow traveler around him, Brother Shisui, and recently, Brother Shisui seemed to have a plan to deal with this kind of information. For Itachi, who was caught between two sides and it was difficult to be a good person, he undoubtedly saw the dawn of getting rid of this kind of life. Of course, although Itachi was annoyed, he still persisted for the sake of his family and his brother, but because of this, the expression on his face has become less recent. Itachi was walking on his way home. Now he didn't come back until late at night every night, just to avoid his clan members waiting at home and interrogating him for information. However, Itachi suddenly frowned, and then disappeared. When he appeared again, he had appeared behind Sasuke with the Rinnegan Eye who was hiding in the tree. Who are you? Itachi could tell that this person was not an Anbu member of Konoha, nor was he a member of the Uchiha clan. But when he appeared in Konoha at this time, this person must have an agenda. At this time, Rinnegan Sasuke slowly turned around, and his pupils separated from the state of Rinnegan and turned into Mangekyo Sharingan. At this moment, he used his power to control Itachi. When Itachi came to his senses, he was hanging upside down on the tree. But unlike Sasuke, Itachi was very calm, quite calm. Even though his pants had been taken off and Susanoo was beating him with a cane, he remained calm. Rinnegan Sasuke stood expressionless. Behind him, the regular version of Susanoo was holding a cane. Susanoo first slapped Itachi twice on the butt. Then, Sasuke with the Rinnegan eye said, "It hurts, doesn't it? If it hurts, then if I ask anything, you answer honestly. If you lie, I will slap you." Itachi said nothing. He would not and could not reveal information about Konoha. Even if the relationship between the top management of Konoha and the Uchiha clan is not good now, he is still very ethical. Forget about answering, his expression wouldn't even change. "Are you planning to defect to Konoha?" Then, Itachi, who was not even planning to change his expression, slowly typed a question mark when he heard the first question. Sometimes he puts up question marks, not because he has a problem, but because he thinks the other party has a problem. He was staying well in Konoha, why did he defect from Konoha? Rinnegan Sasuke saw Itachi didn't answer, but let Susanoo continue to slap him. At the same time, what Sasuke recalled with his samsara eye was Uchiha Itachi of the world he was in. In that world, his brother Uchiha Itachi, as a genius of the Uchiha clan, had been the target of Rinnegan Sasuke since he was a child, but one day, he betrayed the village and became a traitorous ninja. As for the reason, it was because he joined the coup of the third Hokage and Danzo at that time. Bewitched by the third Hokage, he believed that Orochimaru's behavior would bring war to Konoha. However, this was not the most direct reason. The most direct reason that led him to do this was also the reason why Sasuke with the Rinnegan eye became the laughingstock and shame of the clan. Itachi's reason for joining the coup was to prevent the fifth Hokage Orochimaru's experimental plan to enhance Konoha's strength, so that his younger brother, Rinnegan Sasuke, could avoid being involved in the war that would bring Konoha due to his expansion in strength. As a glorious Uchiha clan, a clan of ninjas, they are protected for such a reason. From the perspective of Rinnegan Sasuke, this is a very shameful thing, and from the perspective of the Uchiha clan, this is also a joke. Because of this, the Rinnegan Sasuke had the ambition to bring that man back to the village when he was young. Then, after he had eyes that surpassed the Sharingan, he ran half of the world to hunt down that man. He was finally beaten down and taken back to Konoha's prison to be locked up. After coming to this world, although some things have changed, after these few days of observation, Rinnegan Sasuke has determined that this man. He is still wondering whether the peace of Konoha is more important, or the Uchiha clan is more important. Tangled up in little things. In the original world, he believed that the peace of Konoha was more important, and at the same time, he was motivated by protecting his younger brother Sasuke, the Rinnegan eye, so he backstabbed Orochimaru, who was supported by the Uchiha clan, and participated in the coup. Sasuke with the Samsara eye knows that in this world, if no one intervenes or interferes, it is very likely that this full brother will do something similar to the world he lives in again. This person is a casual guy who can use the reason, for his younger brother, as a legitimate excuse, and then just do whatever he wants with a twitch of his head. Of course, this may also be what their Uchiha clan has in common. Because of this, Rinnegan Sasuke joined the Root organization and took control of it, using his own power to control the Uchiha clan and prevent the family from going berserk. Coming to this world, Rinnegan Sasuke also hoped that even if it was not him, he could find someone from the Uchiha clan to control the Uchiha clan and prevent him from going berserk. Of course, now, that is what Sasuke with the Samsara eye will do in the future. What he has to do now is to wake up this brother from the parallel world who is about to get lost. Itachi, I know you are a very determined person. Even if I insult you like this, you will never answer any of my questions. However, I also know your weaknesses. As Sasuke spoke, he raised his right hand and activated the ability of the Rinnegan. There is a small meteorite condensing in the sky, but because it is hidden among the clouds and it is night, it is difficult to see clearly without careful observation. However, Itachi here could naturally see it clearly. When he noticed the location below the meteorite, his expression changed. The place where this ninjutsu falls will be your home. Your brother may even be killed by me by then. I have no intention of getting information about Konoha from you, I just want you to answer me. Rinnegan Sasuke made a condition that Itachi couldn't refuse to answer. Itachi's eyes flickered. If it was information that did not involve Konoha, then he couldn't say that he would definitely refuse to answer. I ask you again, are you planning to defect to Konoha? This time, Itachi did not remain silent after a moment, but replied, I have no intention of defecting to Konoha. Rinnegan Sasuke nodded. He only asked this question casually. After all, in his opinion, no matter how much the Itachi in this world changed, it was unlikely that he would have any intention of defecting to Konoha at this time. After all, he was still loyal to Konoha. Konoha or the Uchiha clan, if you were asked to choose between them, which one do you think is more important? This question was different from the previous one. It was quite sharp. Even Itachi couldn't answer it, but the Samsara Eye said he had to answer. So after a while, Itachi said seriously, I can't answer your question. Because I don't know the answer either. This question, Rinnegan Sasuke also doesn't expect him to answer. This is just an interrogation technique, asking some questions that the other party definitely cannot answer, creating an atmosphere for the other party that he has given him many opportunities, and then a question that must be answered. Quote. If it is a choice between the Uchiha clan and your brother, then who is more important? Itachi also wanted to say that he didn't know about this issue either. But at this time, Susanoo came over with a cane. Itachi endured the pain and humiliation, and heard the words of Rinnegan Sasuke in his ears. I know you must have an answer to this question in your heart. Itachi looked at the meteorite that was gradually taking shape in the sky, and his inner defenses continued to tighten. This question is indeed what Rinnegan Sasuke said, he can answer it. However, he didn't want to answer. This question was too personal for him, but now, he found that he couldn't answer it even if he wanted to. So after a moment of silence, Itachi replied helplessly. Brother. Then, I'll beat you to death, you little brat. When Sasuke, the Rinnegan, asked which question was more important between his clan and his younger brother, he already had a 50% chance of guessing Itachi's answer. Itachi would definitely choose his younger brother. Therefore, Rinnegan Sasuke thinks that even if he hears this answer, he will not be angry. After all, this is who he is. He was able to backstab a clan for his younger brother, and the reason was, I wanted to protect my younger brother. For Itachi, this is an extremely correct reason, but for Sasuke, who is protected by the reincarnation eye, this reason is just Itachi's selfishness. Itachi was just using his brother as an excuse to act so he could fight and backstab with peace of mind. After all, as long as I hold the thought that I am acting to protect my brother, Itachi can think that he is right. Even if what he does is unacceptable to others, he is doing it to protect his brother, so he is right. Sacrificing himself for his younger brother, this is what Sasuke with the Samsara Eye thinks is the gradually becoming distorted ninja hidden under Itachi's bright appearance of pursuing peace. Rinnegan Sasuke hates his brother who uses, for his brother's good, as an excuse to act. Because of his brother's unscrupulous actions, he just wanted everyone to act according to his script and regarded himself as a high-ranking being who controlled other people's lives. Sasuke with the Samsara Eye once had to bear a very heavy childhood. However, today's Rinnegan Sasuke is different from the past, so even if he hears his love from Itachi, Rinnegan Sasuke can still face it calmly. After all, the Rinnegan Sasuke is now an adult and has experienced many things. He is mature, rational and stable. This is who he is today. Therefore, Sasuke with the Samsara Eye believes that he just experienced being pointed at and said something like, "Is he that brother Sasuke?" Single quote. Mom said, "Don't play with that brother Sasuke, otherwise you will be regarded as a strange person." Single quote. It's such a small thing that I have long been accustomed to, so even if the encounter happens again, Sasuke with the Samsara Eye will not be angry at all. Sasuke, the reincarnation eye, also believes that he just experienced the ridicule of others in the academy and said something like, "The roll call has begun, classmates, Uchiha brother Sasuke, sorry, I called the wrong name, it's Uchiha Sasuke." Single quote. Brother Sasuke, show me that one, the one who is protected by your brother, what is your name? Even if my brother Sasuke dies, he will not let his brother protect him. Haha. Gobo Sasuke. Gobo Sasuke. Single quote. This kind of thing can't shake his reason at all. With the Samsara Eye, Sasuke thinks he is a qualified adult and can no longer get angry. Sasuke with the Samsara Eye also believes that even if the people around him are criticized for being implicated by him, he will not be angry. After all, it is similar. Look, Gobo Sasuke's father has come to the academy. Look, everyone, that is Gobo Sasuke's father. He is exactly the same as Gobo Sasuke, with a face like Gobo's. He may have been protected by his brother before. Single quote. Look, that girl is Haruno Sakura from the Gobo Sasuke support team who likes Gobo Sasuke, and that girl is Ino from the Gobo Sasuke support team. Single quote. For things like this, even if Sasuke with the Rinnegan eye was once very guilty, people who can get along with him will definitely not care about such things, not to mention that everyone is an adult, and such a trivial matter will not matter at all. Look, that is Naruto Namikaze, the sworn brother of Gobo Sasuke. Should we call him Naruto Namikaze? Single quote. Rinnegan Sasuke's expression suddenly froze, and at the same time, Itachi's answer came to his ears. It's my younger brother. At this moment, uncontrollable anger burst out instantly. Uchiha Itachi, I'm going to beat your little brother to death. After letting Susanoo whip Itachi with a cane, Sasuke gradually calmed down. Calm down, calm down, calm down, don't get angry, you are already a qualified adult, just let the past go with the wind, and he is not that weasel. Rinnegan Sasuke felt that he had lost his temper today. Sure enough, the Uchiha clan would not be able to control themselves as long as emotional issues were involved. With his samsara eye, Sasuke looked at this teenage boy. He obviously had a childish face, and he was a skipper from the Ninja Academy and had not read any books. He was an uncultured person who was easily fooled, but he always had to pretend to be serious and pretend to be serious. Mature, teenage chicks, what kind of peace do you want to pursue? Calm down, don't express your anger. Rinnegan Sasuke took a deep breath and regained control of his emotions. Uchiha Itachi, this is it for now, but as long as you make a wrong judgment, I will appear in front of you again. Don't defect to Konoha, don't backstab the Uchiha clan. Things like this are not important at all. The only important thing is that you can't do anything wrong. You must not be a brother-in-law, you absolutely can't when you are a brother controller, you must not be a brother controller. If you cannot do these three things, I will kill your brother next time so that you will have no brother to control. I, Namikaze Sasuke, do what I say, and doing what I say is the nindo of my Namikaze Sasuke. Rinnegan Sasuke felt that he had indeed lost control of his emotions and almost exposed his identity. Fortunately, he temporarily remembered the plan of the Namikaze clan, mentioned by the 6th generation Hinata, so he turned around in time and changed his last name. Rinnegan Sasuke put Itachi down from the tree and prepared to leave. At this moment, Itachi, who was halfway wearing his pants, suddenly asked, "Who are you?" "I am from the Namikaze clan." You will naturally know who the Namikaze clan is in the future. However, perhaps the emotions in his heart affected Rinnegan Sasuke's rationality. He subconsciously stopped and then said something that he shouldn't have said and might reveal his identity. In addition, to me, Uchiha Itachi, you are also my brother. No matter how disgusted he was, Rinnegan Sasuke could not deny that the relationship between him and that man was that of brothers. In other words, it is precisely because they are brothers that there is such a contradiction. The Wave family. Am I his brother? After Sasuke left with the Rinnegan, Itachi touched his sore buttocks while recalling the hellish experience just now. Although that person said that he was from the Namikaze clan, Itachi knew that that person must be from the Uchiha clan. The ninjutsu Susanoo he used was the Mangekyo Sharingan Eye technique of the Uchiha clan. Therefore, he must be the Uchiha clan, or a blood relative of the Uchiha clan. Moreover, he also said that he were brothers. Itachi suddenly discovered a very subtle thing, that is, that man's face looked very similar to the men in his family, especially Sasuke. At this time, Itachi recalled that Sasuke was also hung on a tree before, but he refused to reveal who he was, only that he was from the Uchiha clan. Also, the other party just said, never be a brother controller. From these scattered clues, Itachi came up with a possibility that although he didn't want to believe, it was quite credible. That is, this person named Namikaze Sasuke is probably his half-brother. That's why he said Uchiha Itachi was his brother. And that person is probably a member of the Hokage force, but because of this, he, like Itachi himself, is worried about the relationship between the clan and Konoha. That's why he not only told himself not to backstab the Uchiha clan, but also told him not to defect to Konoha. Then, because he is his elder brother, that's why he said, never be a brother-in-law. Putting all the clues together, Itachi came to this extremely likely conclusion. Of course, Itachi also knew that these were just his speculations after all, but now he also believed that he needed to find out from Sasuke what happened to him at that time. He thought it was a small matter before, but now it seems, this is quite a big deal. However, if it is true, then, Itachi raised his head. Although his butt was still hurting, at this moment, he strangely did not feel the shame of what he had just experienced. After all, that might be his brother. Is this how Sasuke has always felt about me? What arises spontaneously is the special pressure that is different from the past when meeting Brother Shisui or other powerful ninjas. That person was obviously extremely powerful, but his power brought Itachi not awe, but a desire to chase him. It's really stressful to have a strong brother on top. At this moment, Itachi seemed to understand Sasuke's usual mood of looking at him, being compared with him, but always unable to chase him. At the same time, Itachi had another special feeling. That is, I may be a younger brother now. Yes, at this moment, Itachi felt for the first time what it was like to be a younger brother. But, Itachi shook his head, maybe all this was just that he was overthinking. In short, what Itachi needs to know more now is about Namikaze Sasuke. Regardless of whether it was as he guessed, at least Itachi wanted to find out his identity. Uchiha Mansion. Sasuke looked at Itachi next to him a little nervously. He was about to sleep, but was called over by Itachi. Itachi recently returned home and went straight to bed, so Sasuke was a little surprised when he called him over this time. I don't know what my brother wants to ask me, Sasuke thought in confusion. As for Itachi, he stood in the yard, looking at the sky, and began to think about how to speak so as not to make Sasuke think too much. But Itachi felt that Sasuke might have guessed that Namikaze Sasuke was their eldest brother, otherwise his behavior wouldn't be so strange. At this time, Sasuke, who was sitting on the wooden board in the corridor, asked, "Brother, won't you sit down?" Itachi said in a cold voice, "A top-notch ninja needs to be alert at all times. Even though he is at home, as a member of the Anbu, he still needs to be alert. Actually, it's just that my butt hurts, and it hurts when I sit down, but a top-notch younger brother will never embarrass himself in front of his younger brother. People can die, and battles can be lost. They must have AB before facing their younger brothers." Sure enough, Sasuke, who was new to the world, immediately showed an expression of admiration. "Brother, you are so awesome." Hearing this, Itachi just remained silent, and then he said, "Sasuke, you know Namikaze Sa?" Before Itachi finished asking, Sasuke immediately stammered, "I don't know, brother, I really don't know anyone named Namikaze." When Itachi saw this, a glint flashed in his eyes. Sure enough, Sasuke knew about that person, and I'm afraid I know a lot more. At this time, Itachi felt that there was no need to be secretive, so he went straight to the topic. "Sasuke, it seems that you also know about our brothers. In addition to the two of us, there is another brother, yeah?" Sasuke's heart sank. He was just a little suspicious at first, but even the ANBU's brother knew about it. Sure enough, is Naruto Namikaze his brother? "Brother, this matter is just our speculation, isn't it? I see, you go to bed early." Itachi didn't ask any more, but slowly stood up and returned to his room. Sasuke looked at Itachi's leaving figure with a somewhat complicated mood. All night long, the two brothers could not close their eyes. The next day, the two brothers came out with a pair of panda eyes. When Makoto saw them, she was a little surprised and asked, "What's going on with you two?" Itachi and Sasuke looked at each other and said at the same time, "We just talked all night." That's it. When Makoto saw this, she immediately smiled and said, "You are two brothers. It is natural for you to have a good relationship. Of course, two brothers must love each other." The two of them felt a thump in their hearts at the same time and subconsciously turned their heads away. It is true that brothers should love each other, but if there are not two brothers, but three brothers, can the mother still be happy? Both of them felt a little heavy while eating breakfast. At this time, Fugaku came from the corridor. When he saw Fugaku, Itachi stood up and said in a cold voice, "I'm full, I'm going to Anbu, mother." He didn't pay attention to Fugaku. Since what had happened, he couldn't change anything. However, it was impossible to give Fugaku a good attitude. Fugaku watched Itachi leave, his heart skipping a beat. Itachi's attitude has become so bad, could it be a hint, or the Hokage forces going to attack them? Fugaku's heart sank slightly. He didn't even notice Sasuke's attitude. He just thought a little absent-mindedly while eating. Is Itachi's use of this hint to mean that the Hokage's forces are already monitoring them? As for the sudden change in the Uchiha family at this moment, Rinnegan Sasuke didn't know about it. After resting for a night, he came to the headquarters of the Root organization. However, everything here made Sasuke with the Samsara eye frown slightly. How come a good Root organization is so organized that it looks like some evil force, so gloomy? With such a force, how could he fight against the Hokage? The environment he entered made him very dissatisfied. In such an organization with less light and more darkness, it looks like a place where villains and evil forces gather. Isn't it like a rat in a stinking ditch? How can they be worthy of their status as the Uchiha Honor clan in the future? Sasuke, with his Samsara eye, looked at the original version of the Root organization, which was completely different from the one he took over from his master, with a lump in his throat. Let's start by transforming the root tissue. Rinnegan Sasuke made up his mind. In such a dark and gloomy organization with the style of evil forces, to be honest, it is impossible for Sasuke with the Rinnegan eye to push Naruto to the position of leader like this. Wouldn't this be a trap for his own brother? Whether it's the Uchiha clan or his own brothers, the style of this organization is not quite right, and we need to find a way to reform it. As the future headquarters of the Uchiha clan, as well as the future organization of his adopted brother, the style of the Root organization, Rinnegan Sasuke still has something in mind, that is the symbol of the Uchiha clan and the source of its power, love. On the night when Sasuke, the Rinnegan eye, entered the Root organization's base, Konoha gradually became turbulent and turbulent. Shikamaru's family. Shikamaru's father, Shikaku, the leader of the Konoha Jonin class, was putting on shoes in front of the door. Behind him stood two people, his wife and his son Shikamaru. Shikaku ordered the two of them while putting on his shoes. I'll be back late tonight. Also, try not to go out recently, it might be dangerous. Shikamaru, try not to come home late after school. Shikaku's wife nodded, but she asked curiously, is the matter serious this time? After hearing this, Shikaku was silent for a moment, and then replied, depending on the situation, it may be just an ordinary new ninja family integrating into Konoha, or it may be a major crisis that will break out a war with unpredictable results. In fact, not only that, if there is a war, he will not be unable to leave his house. The main reason is that the opponent is not only powerful, but also has the ability to sneak into Konoha. This is why he thinks it is dangerous. The wife took a breath, as if she didn't expect it to be such a big deal. Even the lazy Shikamaru looked sideways and didn't know what kind of ninja family it was that could make his father, the Jonin captain of Konoha, so wary. Shikamaru originally wanted to tell Shikaku about Naruto, but he couldn't say it at this time. After all, compared to what his father said, Naruto's matter was just a trivial matter. However, Shikamaru was not going to say anything, but Shikaku asked instead, by the way, Shikamaru, do you know about the child named Uzumaki Naruto in your class recently? Has there been any change in him? Based on the relationship between the Namikaze clan and Naruto, any change in Naruto is likely to be a hint from the Namikaze clan. Shikamaru was originally not going to talk about Naruto, but his father mentioned it at this moment, and he had a guess in his mind that maybe the Namikaze clan had some relationship with Naruto, so he didn't hide it and told Naruto that he was in school today. Tell everything about it. After hearing this, Shikaku didn't have time to think about this matter in detail, but he was sure that Naruto's changes were related to the Namikaze clan. I understand. You try to maintain a good relationship with Naruto. But, if you really can't do this, just keep your distance from him for the time being. Shikaku saw clearly that Naruto was both the son of the fourth Hokage and the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. As long as he didn't do anything as big as betraying a ninja, he would definitely have a place in Konoha in the future. In the past, Shikaku was very supportive of Shikamaru's contact with Naruto. But now that the purpose of the Namikaze clan is unknown, he thinks it's better to be cautious. After saying that, Shikaku went out. Tonight, for him, was also a battlefield in another sense. Not long after the 6th generation Hinata proposed negotiations, the 3rd Hokage began to convene the village elders and the heads of many ninja families for a meeting. Finally, after several days of preparation, on the night of Naruto's official start, the meeting began. Let's call it the Konoha Summit. The heads of the ninja families who came here, it can be said that even the Uchiha clan who were alienated from the power and influence, were invited. It can be said that all the famous and unknown ninja families in Konoha are here. Even Danzo will come here on behalf of the Shimura family. When Shikaku arrived at the meeting place, ninja families would come to discuss with him, the wise man next to the Hokage, from time to time. After Shikaku responded one by one, he came to his 2 Genin and Chunin era partners, Yamanaka Haichi and Akamichi Choza. Not only were the 3 of them partners, but their children will also be arranged into a group after graduation. This is the traditional form of the Zuludi family. The 3 clans as a single clan may not be the top, but the 3 clans often act as a whole to the outside world, and even the 2 giant families in Konoha do not dare to look down upon them. After the 2 found Shikaku, they suddenly started talking about something their children had to complain about at school today. Ino said that a man named Uzumaki Naruto bullied her in school, so I asked what happened. But after listening to it, I felt that Naruto seemed to know the severity, and it didn't seem like he was deliberately bullying her. I also heard what Choji said. He said that Naruto said that if he became the squad leader, he would have no snacks to eat in the future. Although it is a bit pitiful, I also think Naruto did a good job. After all, in the Ninja Academy, necessary ninja knowledge it's necessary, and as for cultivation, it can also be done on a daily basis. At this time, there was still some time before the meeting started. Shikaku and the 2 talked about this matter, so they began to analyze it. I just heard Shikamaru talk about this matter. Wait, are you talking about Naruto? I want to hear it too. Me too. At this time, parents from the same class as Naruto also gathered around. However, most of them are from the ninja family. These people have obviously heard about Naruto from their own children. Normally, they would just listen. But today there are so many heads of ninja families here, and they want to get in touch with each other and enhance their relationship. At this time, they think they can use the topic of Naruto. Not only them, but some children in different classes from Naruto also gathered around. Shikaku didn't stop these people from approaching. He actually wanted to see how these people treated Naruto from this incident. Shikaku himself once worked under the 4th Hokage. To be fair, he actually recognized the 4th Hokage more than the 3rd Hokage. Therefore, under the influence of his ears and eyes, even his lazy son who didn't want to make friends at all, the relationship with Naruto is also good. Among the descendants of the 3 of them, Ino Shikacho, even Ino, as a girl, didn't have a bad attitude towards Naruto. This is exactly the relationship that they, as parents, inadvertently teach through words and deeds. From a standpoint, Shikaku believes that the Anar, Deer, and Butterflies clan should belong to a ninja family that both knows the 4th Hokage and still has memories of the 4th Hokage. In fact, most of the ninjas who were their contemporaries and experienced the 4th Hokage period also had this attitude. Originally, when Naruto had a certain ninja status, his identity would not be exposed, so Shikaku did not need to consider other people's attitudes towards Naruto. And now, with the appearance of the Namikaze clan, who had an unknown relationship with Naruto, but at least they were definitely close, Shikaku already had a hunch that Naruto's status in Konoha would definitely change. Even the Hokage, the root organization, the elders group, etc. will all pay attention to him. So now, Shikaku needs to determine from everyone's attitude how many people still have memories of the 4th Hokage and care for the orphans of the 4th Hokage just like they did. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.